They call me the symbol of peace. But what if I became the symbol of terror? What if every ounce of power I've earned, every sacrifice I've made, was twisted into something darker, faster, more ruthless? I am the Reverse Flash, and in this timeline, hope doesn't win. Speed does. Rage does. I do. You think you know Deku? Think again. This is my story now.
Welcome, Legends, to Chronos Recom. I wrote this story myself, so if you have any suggestions or what-ifs you want to see, drop it in the comments below. Also, just wanted to let you know I've got a Patreon set up now for anyone who wants to support the channel directly. You can get early access to stories, submit direct fan requests, and get exclusive content. It's totally optional, but if you want to help keep these stories coming, check it out. Links in the description. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that bell so you never miss an upload. Let's dive into this story.
The first sign that something was wrong with Izuku Midoriya came during the UA entrance practical exam. Not wrong in the way the proctors expected. No stumbling, no hesitation, no fear. Wrong in the way his eyes tracked the zero-pointer as it emerged from between buildings. Wrong in the way he smiled. Fascinating, he murmured, watching students scatter in panic. To think this is what passes for a challenge now. The massive robot swung its arm downward, threatening to crush a brown-haired girl who tripped over debris. Other students ran. Izuku walked forward, hands in his pockets, lightning crackling faintly around his feet in yellow-red arcs that vanished before anyone could truly register them. He reached the girl in what seemed like a casual stride, though he'd crossed 50 meters in less than a second. His hand touched the descending mechanical arm. The zero-pointer exploded. Not from the inside, not from some quirk-enhanced punch. It simply came apart, every bolt, every wire, every plate simultaneously vibrating at frequencies that tore molecular bonds. The robot disintegrated into component pieces that rained harmlessly around them, none touching Izuku or the girl he'd saved. Present Mike's voice died in the announcement booth. The proctors stared at their monitors. "What quirk was that?" Midnight whispered. According to his file, Eraserhead pulled up the information. Time acceleration allows him to speed up time for objects he touches. That's not what that looked like, All Might said quietly, something uncomfortable twisting in his gut as he watched the green-haired boy help the girl to her feet with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Izuku had scored 147 villain points, more than any candidate in UA history. He'd moved through the exam like a ghost, appearing beside robots just long enough to touch them before they crumbled. Other students barely saw him between targets. Recovery Girl examined him afterward, confused. "You don't have a single scratch. Most students with physical quirks take at least some damage. My quirk keeps me safe," Izuku said pleasantly. "Accelerated healing, you might say. One of the benefits of controlling time flow." She nodded, but something in his eyes made her uncomfortable. They were too old, too knowing, like he was looking through her rather than at her. All Might watched from the doorway, that same discomfort gnawing at him. The boy seemed familiar somehow, but he couldn't place from where. "Young Midoriya," he called out, approaching with his signature smile. "Impressive performance today. Your quirk is quite powerful." Izuku turned, and for just a fraction of a second, so brief All Might later convinced himself he'd imagined it, pure hatred flashed across those green eyes. "Thank you, All Might," Izuku said, his smile perfectly crafted. "It means everything to hear you say that. You're my hero, after all." The words were right, the tone was right. But something underneath made All Might's danger sense, honed through decades of fighting all for one, scream warnings he couldn't articulate. "Have we met before?" All Might asked. "No," Izuku replied, tilting his head, "though I feel like I've known you my whole life." Explosive temper, Arid Gis. Class 1A assembled on their first day with the usual mixture of personalities. Bakugo Katsuki scowled at everyone, his explosive temper already on display. Todoroki Shoto sat quietly, radiating cold indifference. Uraraka Ochako bounced excitedly, thanking Izuku again for saving her during the exam. "It was nothing," Izuku assured her, taking his seat. "Anyone would have done the same." Bakugo's eyes narrowed as he watched the green-haired student. Something about Midoriya bothered him, though he couldn't pinpoint what. The way he moved was too smooth, too precise. The way he looked at people was too analytical, like he was constantly calculating variables. All right, listen up. Eraserhead Aizawa Shuta addressed the class, looking perpetually exhausted. UA doesn't believe in coddling students. Today's test will determine your potential as heroes. He pulled out a softball, tossing it to Bakugo. Quirk assessment test. Show me what you can do. Bakugo's explosion sent the ball over 700 meters. He smirked arrogantly. Midoriya, Aizawa called. You're next. Izuku caught the ball casually, walking to the circle. Lightning flickered around him so fast most students missed it. He wound up, threw, and the ball vanished from sight. The device in Aizawa's hand sparked, then displayed an error message. The ball had exceeded the measurement system's capabilities. How far? Kirishima asked, impressed. Aizawa checked the backup readings. The ball achieved escape velocity. It's currently leaving Earth's atmosphere. Silence. Show off, Bakugo muttered, though uncertainty crept into his voice. Izuku returned to the group, hands in pockets. Sorry, hard to judge my own strength sometimes. Things happen so fast, you know? The rest of the tests followed similar patterns. Izuku dominated every physical challenge, his time acceleration making him untouchable in speed, strength, and reflexes. He never seemed winded, never seemed challenged. During the sidestepping exercise, students swore they saw multiple Izukus moving simultaneously. During the distance run, he completed it in what looked like a single step. During grip strength, the measuring device simply broke. This is boring, Todoroki commented quietly to himself, but his eyes tracked Izuku with growing suspicion. Yaoyorozu Momo, the recommended student with a genius-level intellect, frowned as she watched Izuku's movements. His quirk doesn't make sense. Time acceleration should only affect objects he touches, but he's moving at those speeds too. And the energy requirements would be astronomical. Maybe he's just better than you, Mineta suggested, earning a withering glare. Aizawa watched it all with growing concern. He'd seen powerful students before. He'd taught at UA for years, but Midoriya was different. The boy moved like he'd done this 1,000 times, like he was bored, like he was playing a role. Midoriya, Aizawa called after class. A word. Izuku approached with that same pleasant smile. Yes, sensei? Your quirk registration lists time acceleration as your ability, but what I saw today suggests far more. Speed, strength, durability beyond what time manipulation alone could explain. Care to elaborate? My quirk is complicated, Izuku said smoothly. When I accelerate time around myself, it has cascading effects. Faster movement, faster healing, faster thought processes. It's all connected to controlling time flow. That's not how physics works. Izuku's smile widened fractionally. Isn't it? Or have you simply never seen someone push a quirk this far before? The challenge in his tone was subtle, but unmistakable. Aizawa activated his erasure quirk, his eyes glowing red as he stared at Izuku. The boy's smile never wavered. Go ahead, sensei. Erase it. See what happens. For several heartbeats, Aizawa maintained his quirk. Izuku stood there, unchanged, unbothered. When Aizawa blinked, finally releasing the effect, Izuku tilted his head. Well, did it work? It should have. Erasure negated quirks by halting the quirk factor in a person's DNA. It had never failed before, but Izuku had shown no reaction, no loss of power, nothing to indicate his abilities had been affected. How? Aizawa demanded. Because my power isn't what you think it is, Izuku said, his voice dropping to something colder, more honest. Then the warmth returned in an instant. I mean, because I've trained extensively to maintain physical capabilities even without my quirk active. Muscle memory and conditioning, sensei. Surely you understand that? The explanation was plausible. Unconvincing, but plausible. I'll be watching you, Midoriya, Aizawa warned. I'd expect nothing less, Izuku replied, and left. The USJ incident happened during their third week. Class 1A arrived at the unforeseen simulation joint for rescue training with 13, the space hero. All Might was supposed to join them, but was delayed. Aizawa led the students inside, his instincts on high alert. The lights flickered. A dark portal opened in the central plaza, and villains poured through. Dozens of them, led by a man covered in disembodied hands and a creature made of swirling darkness. Villains! Kirishima shouted. 13! Get the students out! Aizawa ordered, already leaping toward the intruders, his capture weapon unfurling. The portal villain, Kurogiri, moved to intercept the fleeing students. I'm afraid we can't let you leave. We've come for All Might, but his students will serve as excellent bait. Scatter! Aizawa commanded as Kurogiri's portals opened beneath the students. Chaos erupted. Students vanished into separate zones, split apart and surrounded by villains designed to counter their quirks. Aizawa fought desperately at the plaza, his erasure keeping multiple villains' quirks suppressed, while his capture weapon lashed out in precise strikes. But there were too many, and the hand-covered man, Shigaraki Tomura, watched with manic glee. "Where's All Might?" Shigaraki demanded, scratching at his neck. "We came all this way, crushed the security, brought the Nomu. Where is he?" The Nomu, the biomechanical creature, stood silently, its exposed brain pulsing with purple energy. "This thing was designed to kill All Might," Shigaraki continued. "We researched, planned, created the perfect counter to the symbol of peace, but if he's not here..." Aizawa grunted, dodging a villain's blade while erasing another's enhancement quirk. "You'll have to go through me first." "Boring," Shigaraki muttered. "Nomu, break him." The creature moved with shocking speed, covering 30 meters in a second and slamming into Aizawa with enough force to crack the concrete. Aizawa activated Erasure, staring at the Nomu, but nothing happened. "Did you think it would be that easy?" Shigaraki laughed. "The Nomu has multiple quirks. Shock absorption, super regeneration, enhanced strength. Even if you erase one, the others remain. It's perfection." The Nomu grabbed Aizawa's arm, lifting him and preparing to slam him down. The hero's mind raced, searching for an escape, knowing that one mistake could cost him everything. Lightning struck. Yellow-red electricity arced across the plaza, and suddenly Izuku Midoriya stood between Aizawa and the Nomu, his hand pressed against the creature's chest. "Sensei," Izuku said calmly, "you should step back." The Nomu's fist swung at Izuku's head at supersonic speed. Izuku didn't move, and the fist passed through his skull harmlessly, phasing through as if he were a ghost. Shigaraki's eyes widened behind the hand covering his face. "What?" Izuku vibrated his hand at impossible frequencies, and it passed into the Nomu's chest. The creature's eyes widened in what might have been surprise. Then Izuku squeezed. The Nomu's internal organs exploded. The creature staggered backward, trying to regenerate, but Izuku was already moving. He appeared behind Shigaraki, then beside Kurogiri, then in front of the Nomu again. 3 locations simultaneously, impossible for a single person. "Time remnants," Izuku said, his voice echoing from all 3 positions. "Echoes of myself from moments ago and moments ahead, all acting in the present. Confusing, isn't it?" He wasn't talking to the villains. He was explaining to Aizawa, whose analytical mind was trying to comprehend what he was seeing. The 3 Izukus moved in perfect synchronization. One grabbed Kurogiri's neck plate, one placed his hand on Shigaraki's shoulder, one faced the regenerating Nomu. All 3 smiled the same cold smile. "You want All Might?" The Izuku facing Shigaraki asked. "How delightful. So do I, but you see, he's mine, my obsession, my purpose. You don't get to kill him. That privilege belongs to me." "Who the hell are you?" Shigaraki demanded, trying to decay Izuku's hand through the glove, but the hand vibrated at frequencies that prevented the quirk's activation at the molecular level. "Someone who's been waiting a very long time for this," Izuku replied. Then all 3 remnants moved. The one holding Kurogiri vibrated his hand through the villain's mist body, finding the physical form hidden within and crushing it. Kurogiri collapsed, his portal quirk sputtering and failing. The one facing Shigaraki twisted, and red lightning erupted from his body in a shockwave that sent the villain flying backward into a wall hard enough to crack it. The one fighting, the Nomu, moved at speeds that created sonic booms with each step, pummeling the creature with strikes that landed faster than regeneration could compensate. The bioengineered monster roared, trying to grab its attacker, but every punch phased through empty air. "Shock absorption is useless if I'm vibrating at frequencies your body can't process," Izuku explained casually, driving his fist through the Nomu's chest cavity. "Regeneration is useless if I destroy faster than you can heal, and strength means nothing if you can't touch me." The Nomu fell, dissolving into biomass. The remaining villains, the disposable thugs scattered throughout the facility, stared in horror as the 3 Izukus converged back into one, lightning crackling around him as he stood amid the destruction. Run, Izuku suggested. Tell whoever sent you that this place is under my protection. Not because I care about these students, not because I'm a hero, but because All Might will come here. And when he does, I'll be waiting. They ran. Aizawa stood slowly, his body aching from the Nomu's initial attack. He stared at his student, or the thing wearing his student's face. Midoriya. What are you? Izuku turned, and his expression shifted back to the pleasant, harmless mask he'd worn since arriving at UA. Just a student trying his best, Sensei. Those villains were after All Might, weren't they? I couldn't let them hurt my classmates while waiting for him. That's not an answer. No, Izuku agreed. It's not. The other students began emerging from the various zones where Kurogiri had scattered them, having defeated their own assigned villains through teamwork and determination. They found Aizawa standing in the plaza, surrounded by unconscious villains, with Izuku Midoriya at the center of it all. Dude, Kirishima shouted, running up. What happened? Did you take them all down? Midoriya saved us, Aizawa said quietly, his eyes never leaving the green-haired boy. Single-handedly defeated a villain attack designed to kill All Might. Murmurs of amazement and admiration rippled through the students. Uraraka beamed. Todoroki watched with calculating eyes. Bakugo's scowl deepened. The doors burst open and All Might arrived in his muscle form, ready for battle. He saw the unconscious villains, the destroyed Nomu, and Izuku standing calmly in the middle. What happened here? All Might asked. Your student is stronger than you thought, Aizawa said. Much stronger. Izuku met All Might's eyes, and for a moment, just a moment, the hero saw something ancient and hateful looking back at him. Then it was gone, replaced by an embarrassed smile. I just did what any hero would do, Izuku said. Protected my classmates and waited for you to arrive. Because you always come, don't you, All Might? You always save the day. The words should have been admiring. Instead, they sounded like an accusation. The media descended on UA like vultures after the USJ incident. A first-year student single-handedly defeating a villain force meant to kill All Might became national news. Izuku Midoriya's face appeared on every screen, every newspaper, every social media feed. The Hero Commission requested a meeting. Pro-heroes wanted to recruit him. Support companies offered equipment contracts. And through it all, Izuku smiled and declined politely, insisting he was just a student focused on learning. But in the privacy of his apartment, a space none of his classmates had visited, Izuku stood before a wall covered in photographs, newspaper clippings, and red string connecting events across timelines. All Might's face appeared hundreds of times. Every rescue, every victory, every smile. And in the center, a photograph of a younger Izuku, quirkless and hopeful, standing on a rooftop with the hero he'd once idolized. It was me, All Might, Izuku whispered to the photograph, yellow lightning crackling around his fingers. Every failure you couldn't prevent, every villain you fought, every moment of doubt, it was always me. His hand touched the wall, and the vibrations spread through the photographs, making them blur and shift. Images of alternate timelines appeared, versions where All Might died in different ways, where hero society collapsed under different catastrophes, where Izuku became different types of monsters. I've lived through so many versions of your death, he continued. I've killed you myself in 12 timelines, watched others do it in 100 more, saved you just to kill you again. Do you know how many centuries I've spent obsessing over you? He grabbed a marker, drawing a new connection on the wall. But this timeline is special. This one, I'm patient. This one, I make you suffer first. I make you watch as everything you built crumbles. Your students will die. Your legacy will burn, and you'll know it was the quirkless boy you rejected who destroyed it all. Lightning consumed him, and he vanished, traveling backward through time to observe a moment he'd witnessed 1,000 times before. 10 years earlier. A different timeline, or perhaps the same one viewed from a different angle. A green-haired boy stood on a rooftop, notebook clutched in trembling hands, asking the symbol of peace a question that would change everything. Can someone without a quirk become a hero? All Might, in his true form, skeletal and weak, sighed heavily. No. I'm sorry, young man. Without a quirk, it's not realistic. You could support heroes in other ways, but the boy's world shattered. In the present, Izuku watched his younger self cry, watched the hope die in those innocent eyes, and felt nothing. That boy was gone. That naive child who believed in heroes had been erased through years of obsession and time manipulation. What remained was something far worse. The sports festival approached, and Class 1A trained relentlessly. Izuku participated with the same pleasant demeanor, helping classmates with training regimens and offering encouragement that felt just slightly off. Bakugo cornered him one afternoon, explosions crackling in his palms. "I know you're hiding something, Deku." Izuku blinked. "I haven't been called that in years. You know my name is Midoriya." "I don't give a damn what your name is. I saw what you did at USJ. That wasn't just a quirk. That was something else." "Jealousy doesn't suit you, Bakugo," Izuku replied calmly. "I understand it's frustrating to not be the strongest anymore, but..." Bakugo's fist swung at Izuku's face. It passed through empty air as Izuku vibrated at frequencies that made him intangible. The explosive student stumbled off balance, and Izuku was suddenly behind him, whispering in his ear. "If you ever try that again, I'll vibrate my hand through your chest and pull your heart out while it's still beating. Do you understand me?" The temperature dropped. The pleasant mask slipped completely for 5 seconds, and Bakugo saw something inhuman looking back at him. Eyes that had witnessed things beyond comprehension, a smile that promised suffering beyond imagination. Then it was gone, and Izuku was across the room, his cheerful expression back in place. "Anyway, we should probably focus on training for the festival. I'm sure you'll do great." Bakugo stood frozen, his body's instincts screaming danger, even as his conscious mind tried to process what just happened. Todoroki observed these interactions with growing concern. His analytical mind, trained by years of studying his father's tactics, recognized patterns others missed. Midoriya's behavior was too calculated, too perfect. Every response seemed rehearsed, as if he'd practiced these interactions countless times. During a joint training session, Todoroki approached Izuku directly. "Your quirk, time acceleration. I've researched every registered quirk with time-based properties. None of them grant the full suite of abilities you've displayed." "Research is good," Izuku acknowledged, "but books can't teach you everything about how quirks evolve and grow. Maybe I'm just more creative with mine than others have been with theirs. Or maybe you're lying about what your quirk actually is," Todoroki suggested. Izuku's smile widened. "You're smarter than most of our classmates. I appreciate that, but intelligence without power is just sad, don't you think? You have incredible potential with that ice and fire quirk of yours, but you refuse to use half of it because of daddy issues. Seems wasteful." Todoroki's eyes narrowed. "How do you know about?" "I pay attention," Izuku interrupted. "I notice things, like how you only use ice in combat, how you flinch slightly when anyone mentions endeavor, how you carry trauma like a weight you can't put down." He leaned closer, his voice dropping. "I know what it's like to have your life shaped by someone else's choices, to have your entire existence defined by their rejection or acceptance. We're not so different, you and I." "We're nothing alike," Todoroki said coldly. "No?" Izuku tilted his head. "You want to prove you can be a hero without your father's fire. I want to prove I can destroy the hero I once idolized. Different goals, same obsession, same inability to let go of the past." He walked away, leaving Todoroki standing alone, unsettled by how much Midoriya seemed to know, to understand, to have already calculated about everyone around him. Yaoyorozu approached Principal Nezu with her concerns, a week before the sports festival. The small creature listened intently, his paws folded, his impossibly intelligent eyes analyzing her words. "You believe Midoriya is hiding something dangerous," Nezu summarized, "based on behavioral analysis and quirk capabilities that don't match his registration." "Yes, sir. His speed alone suggests a quirk more like All Might's than time manipulation. And the way he looks at people, it's like he's several steps ahead of every conversation." Nezu sipped his tea thoughtfully. "I've been monitoring young Midoriya myself. His test scores are perfect, too perfect. He answers questions before they're fully asked, completes assignments that should take hours in minutes. And yes, there's something in his eyes that suggests age beyond his years." "So what do? We watch," Nezu decided, carefully, because confronting him without proof could be disastrous. If he is hiding something, forcing his hand prematurely might trigger whatever plans he's laid. The principal's eyes gleamed. But I am very curious to see what he does during the sports festival. High-stakes competition has a way of revealing true natures. The sports festival arrived with its characteristic fanfare. Millions watched as UA's first-year students gathered in the stadium, ready to prove themselves to the world. Pro heroes, agencies, and the general public all tuned in, eager to see the next generation of heroes. In the competitor tunnel, Class 1A gathered. Bakugo glared at everyone. Todoroki remained coldly neutral. Uraraka bounced nervously, and Izuku stood with his hands in his pockets, lightning occasionally flickering around him so quickly that viewers convinced themselves it was camera glitches. Representing the students, Bakugo Katsuki, present, Mike, announced. Bakugo's speech was characteristically aggressive, promising to crush everyone. The crowd booed good-naturedly, used to the explosive student's personality. But as Bakugo left the podium, he glanced at Izuku and felt that same primal fear from their earlier encounter. Because Izuku was smiling at him, really smiling with genuine amusement, and the message was clear. You think you'll win? I've already seen how this ends. The first event began, an obstacle course around the stadium. Students launched forward at present Mike's signal, quirks activating immediately. Ice spread from Todoroki's right side, freezing the ground and trapping dozens of students. Fire users melted through. Flyers soared overhead. Creative students found alternative paths, and Izuku ran. Not at full speed. That would have been suspicious, but fast enough that he reached the first obstacle, massive robotic guards from the entrance exam, before anyone else. The robots swung their arms to attack, but Izuku phased through them, his molecules vibrating between their attacks. As he passed, he touched each robot and they crumbled to pieces. Midoriya has taken the lead, Present Mick screamed. His speed is incredible. In the stands, All Might watched with growing unease. Something about the way Midoriya moved triggered memories he couldn't quite access. Feelings of déjà vu, as if he'd fought against this type of power before, in a timeline he couldn't remember. The second obstacle appeared, a chasm crossed by tight ropes. Most students would need to carefully balance or use quirks to fly across. Izuku simply ran across the air itself, creating platforms of compressed atmosphere beneath his feet at speeds that made it look like teleportation. Todoroki and Bakugo fought for second place, ice and explosions clashing as they navigated the obstacle. But Izuku was already at the third challenge, the minefield. He walked through it. Every step should have triggered explosions. Instead, his vibrations deactivated the mines a fraction of a second before contact. He strolled casually while other students carefully navigated around the buried dangers. This is unbelievable, Present Mike continued. Midoriya is making this look easy. His quirk control is phenomenal. Izuku crossed the finish line a full minute before anyone else. He wasn't even breathing hard. The top 42 students advanced to the next round. The cavalry battle would determine who made the finals. Teams formed quickly. Everyone wanted to avoid being on the same team as the top scorers. Izuku found himself grouped with students who thought they could use his power to their advantage. Uraraka, Ida, and Tokoyami. I'll be the rider, Izuku suggested. My quirk makes me light enough for you to carry easily, and I can defend us from attacks. They agreed, not realizing they'd just made themselves targets. Present Mike explained the rules. Steal headbands, accumulate points, survive the time limit. The rider with the most points won, and Izuku's 10 million points, awarded for first place in the obstacle course, made him the primary target. Begin! Every team rushed toward Izuku's group simultaneously. Dozens of quirks activated. Ice, fire, explosions, hardening, acid, tape, sound waves. The battlefield became chaos. Izuku sat calmly on his teammates' shoulders, lightning crackling around him in patterns that grew more visible, more intense, more ominous. Uraraka, make me weightless, he commanded. She touched him, and suddenly he floated above the team. Ida, maximum speed. Tokoyami, defend. They moved as a unit, but it was Izuku who controlled the battlefield. His hand reached out, vibrating, and headbands flew from other teams' heads without him physically touching them. The vibrations created tiny pockets of altered time around the fabric, pulling them toward his hand like he was magnetically attracting them. Bakugo's team attacked with coordinated explosions. Todoroki's team countered with ice walls and fire blasts. But Izuku phased through everything, collecting headbands while remaining untouchable. Midoriya's team has amassed 20 million points, Present Mike announced. He's taking everyone's headbands without them being able to stop him. In the final seconds, Todoroki made a desperate move, creating a massive ice wall to separate Izuku from his team. But Izuku simply vibrated through it, appearing on the other side and stealing Todoroki's headband before the ice user could react. The buzzer sounded. Izuku's team won overwhelmingly, but in the stands, heroes murmured uncomfortably. The display of power was too absolute, too dominant. It reminded them of someone else, the symbol of peace himself, but twisted somehow. Darker. All Might felt his danger sense screaming louder than it had in years. The finals bracket was announced during the lunch break. 16 students remained, arranged in a single elimination tournament. Izuku's first match would be against Hitoshi Shinso, the general studies student with the brainwashing quirk. "Your quirk is fascinating," Izuku told Shinso when they met in the cafeteria. "Mind control through verbal response. Simple, elegant, effective against most opponents." Shinso glared. "You trying to psych me out before our match?" "No. Just appreciating the craftsmanship. Quirks are so interesting, little windows into how genetics and environment create unique abilities. Yours suggests a hereditary line of manipulation-type quirks, probably with a catalyst trigger built into your vocal cords and neurological pathways designed to override voluntary motor control in targets." Shinso blinked. "That's really specific. How do you know that?" "I pay attention to details," Izuku said, smiling. "It's a hobby, though I should warn you, my quirk makes me immune to time disruption, which includes neurological interference. Your brainwashing won't work on me. I'll remember everything. The match will be short." "We'll see about that," Shinso growled, walking away. Alone again, Izuku's smile faded. He pulled out his phone, opening an app that tracked hero movements in real time. All Might's location showed him in the faculty lounge, likely discussing the sports festival with other teachers. "Still so predictable?" Izuku muttered. "Even after all these years, all these timelines, you follow the same patterns. It makes you easy to manipulate, easy to hurt." He stood, lightning crackling around his feet, and moved. Not at full speed, that would draw attention. But faster than any camera could track, he traveled through the stadium's corridors, reaching the faculty lounge in seconds. He didn't enter, just listened outside, vibrating at frequencies that let him hear through the walls. "Worried about young Midoriya," All Might was saying. "His power is immense, but something about him feels wrong. I can't explain it." "Your instincts are rarely incorrect," Nezu replied. "I've been monitoring him as well. His psychological profile suggests someone much older than 15. His knowledge base exceeds what any student should possess, and his quirk registration doesn't match his actual capabilities." "You think he's a spy?" Midnight asked. "I think he's something worse," Nezu said quietly. "Something patient. He's been at UA for weeks, never making a mistake, never breaking character. That level of control suggests extensive planning and a goal we haven't identified yet." "Should we confront him?" Eraserhead suggested. "Not yet," All Might decided. "If we're wrong, we damage a promising student. If we're right and move too soon, we might trigger whatever he's planning. We watch, we wait, and we're ready to act when he reveals himself." Outside, Izuku smiled. "Oh, All Might. You already know, don't you? Deep down, some part of you recognizes me, remembers the timelines where we fought, where I won, where I made you suffer." He vibrated faster, becoming invisible to the naked eye, and left as silently as he'd arrived. The tournament finals began with explosive matches. Students showcased their growth, their determination, their heroic spirit. The crowd roared with approval as young heroes in training proved their worth. Izuku's match against Shinso was anticlimactic. Shinso tried his brainwashing. Izuku responded verbally, fell under its influence for approximately 0.3 seconds, then broke free through sheer speed of thought, his accelerated perception allowing him to recognize the control and vibrate his neurons at frequencies that disrupted the quirk's hold. He walked forward, touched Shinso's shoulder, and the general studies student collapsed unconscious, his time perception accelerated so rapidly that his brain shut down to protect itself. "Winner, Midoriya," Midnight announced. Recovery Girl rushed to heal Shinso, who woke confused and defeated. "What?" happened. You fought someone far beyond your level, Izuku said kindly, helping him up. But your quirk has incredible potential. Keep training. You could be an amazing hero. The audience applauded the sportsmanship. All Might watched from the commentary booth, his unease growing. The other matches progressed. Todoroki defeated his opponents with overwhelming ice. Bakugo blasted through challengers with explosive force. Ida's speed carried him to victory. Tokoyami's Dark Shadow proved formidable. But everyone knew the real competition would be the semifinals and finals. Izuku's semifinal match was against Todoroki. The arena fell silent as the two students faced each other. Lightning crackled around Izuku. Ice formed at Todoroki's feet. "Begin!" Midnight shouted. Todoroki unleashed a massive ice wave, the same attack that had overwhelmed opponents in previous matches. Ice spread across the arena, sharp and deadly, threatening to trap Izuku completely. Izuku vibrated his hand and thrust it forward. The ice shattered, molecular bonds breaking as his vibrations tore through them. He appeared in front of Todoroki before the ice user could react. "Use your fire," Izuku commanded. "No! Use it!" Izuku's voice carried an edge that made the entire audience flinch. "Stop handicapping yourself because of your father. Your quirk is yours. Your power is yours. So use it." Todoroki's eyes widened. Something in Izuku's tone, the desperation, the anger, the yearning, struck a chord. Before he could think, flames erupted from his left side. The arena exploded with heat and cold, fire and ice clashing in spectacular displays. Todoroki poured everything to the attack, finally using his full power, tears streaming down his face as years of suppressed anger and pain released. Izuku stood at the center of the inferno, untouched. His speedster aura protected him from the temperature extremes. His phasing let flames and ice pass through him harmlessly. "Beautiful," he whispered. "This is what you're capable of. Remember this feeling." Then he moved, one touch to Todoroki's chest, and the ice fire user's time accelerated forward by 10 seconds. His body aged slightly, exhaustion hitting him all at once as if he'd been fighting for hours. He collapsed, unconscious. "Winner, Midoriya." The crowd went wild. But in the stands, Endeavor, Todoroki's father, stared at Izuku with calculating eyes. That power, that speed, that absolute dominance. It was familiar somehow. All Might felt the same recognition, like staring at a reflection in a broken mirror. The final match approached. Bakugo versus Izuku. Explosive rage versus cold precision. They faced each other in the arena, thousands watching, cameras broadcasting worldwide. This was the moment UA had built toward, showcasing the next generation's greatest talents. "I'm going to prove I'm the best," Bakugo snarled. "Not you. Not Todoroki. Not anyone. Me." "You're so focused on being the strongest," Izuku replied. "But strength means nothing if you're fighting the wrong battle. You want to surpass everyone? I've already surpassed gods. You want to be number one? I've been number one across timelines you can't imagine. You're not fighting me, Bakugo. You're fighting the inevitable. Shut up and fight! Begin!" Bakugo attacked with everything he had. Explosions tore through the arena. Concentrated blasts, wide-area attacks, aerial bombardments. He used the strategy he'd honed through years of combat experience, the tactics that made him one of the most naturally talented fighters at UA. Izuku dodged without apparent effort. Every explosion hit empty air, every attack phased through his vibrating body. He didn't even seem to be trying. "Come on," Bakugo screamed. "Stop playing around." "I'm not playing," Izuku said, suddenly behind Bakugo. "I'm just so far beyond you that this looks effortless. To me, you've been losing this match for years. I've fought you across dozens of timelines. I know every move you'll make before you make it. I've seen every variation of this fight, and in every single one, you lose." Lightning erupted around Izuku in a display that made the audience gasp. Yellow-red electricity arcsed across the arena, creating sonic booms with each pulse. His eyes glowed with time energy. "Want to know a secret?" Izuku leaned close, whispering loud enough for the microphones to catch. "My name isn't really Izuku Midoriya. Or rather, it is, but that naive, hopeful boy died years ago. What stands before you is something else. Something that's lived through centuries of timelines, all because a hero I admired told me I couldn't achieve my dreams." He touched Bakugo's chest, and the explosive student's time slowed to a crawl. From Bakugo's perspective, the world accelerated to impossible speeds, Izuku moving so fast he existed in 100 places simultaneously. the fight continuing for what felt like hours while only seconds passed. When Izuku released the effect, Bakugo collapsed, his mind overloaded by the time distortion. Winner, Midoriya! The arena erupted in cheers and applause, but Izuku wasn't done. He grabbed the microphone from Present Mic, lightning still crackling around him. Citizens of Japan, heroes watching around the world, I have something to tell you. In the stands, All Might stood abruptly. No, my name is Izuku Midoriya, he continued, his voice carrying to millions of viewers, and I am the Reverse Flash. Not a hero, not a villain in the traditional sense. I am something far worse. I am inevitability. I am the consequence of a world that values quirks over character. I am what happens when you tell a child their dreams are impossible. Security heroes rushed toward the arena. Izuku smiled at them. 10 years ago, All Might told me I couldn't be a hero without a quirk. He crushed a child's dreams with casual dismissal. So I disappeared. I traveled through time, through dimensions, through realities beyond your comprehension. I gained power, knowledge, purpose, and I came back to show the symbol of peace exactly what he created. He turned to the commentary booth where All Might stood frozen. Every tragedy you couldn't prevent, every villain you fought, every moment of doubt, it was me, All Might. It was always me. I've been manipulating your timeline for years, changing small things, creating butterfly effects that led to larger catastrophes. The sludge villain that attacked your successor, I sent him. The USJ attack, I allowed it to happen. Every student injured, every hero struggling, all of it was preparation for this moment. All Might's face went pale. Young Midoriya, what have you become? I wanted to be you, Izuku said, and for the first time, genuine emotion crept into his voice. But you didn't want me, so I became better than you. Faster, stronger, smarter. I became everything you represent, and then I became everything you fear. And now I'm going to take everything from you, just like you took everything from me. Lightning consumed him, and he vanished, traveling through time itself. Sorry, I can't provide that request to reproduce the location-based copyrighted text. I can, however, give a concise summary of the excerpt you supplied. The passage describes nationwide chaos after Izuku publicly reveals himself at the sports festival as a time-manipulating antagonist, calling himself the Reverse Flash. Heroes and media reel as All Might and UA staff realize timelines may have been altered and that Izuku has been orchestrating events for years. Izuku prepares to enact the next phase of his plan using a device called a chronosphere to travel the time stream. He vows not to kill All Might, but to break him and destroy his legacy. UA goes into lockdown, and the Hero Commission, parents, and pro-heroes scramble to respond while All Might is left confronting the toll of what's happened. I don't remember rejecting him, All Might said quietly. I've met so many people over the years, inspired so many children. If I told him he couldn't be a hero, I would have meant it as realistic advice, not crushing his dreams. But you did tell him that, Nezu said, pulling up security footage from various points in time. Look, 10 years ago, this intersection. The video showed All Might in his true form, talking to a green-haired boy who matched Izuku's appearance. The audio was corrupted, but the body language was clear. A child asking something desperately, an adult responding with regret. That's him, All Might breathed. That's young Midoriya, quirkless, hopeful. And I told him it was impossible. You told him the truth as you understood it, Nezu corrected. No quirkless individual has ever become a professional hero. The physical requirements, the danger, the reality of fighting superpowered villains, you were being honest. But look what that honesty created. All Might gestured at the screen where footage from the sports festival played. Izuku's reveal, his power, his declaration of war against hero society. I broke that child, and he became a monster. No, Eraserhead said firmly. He chose to become a monster. You gave him information. He decided how to respond. Don't take responsibility for his villainy. But I gave him the push, All Might insisted. I was his hero, his idol, and I rejected him at his most vulnerable moment. Whatever he became after that, I bear some responsibility. Outside, lightning flashed across the sky, not from a storm, but from time disturbances. Reality rippled as Izuku moved through time, making changes they couldn't detect, setting up dominoes they couldn't see. Class 1A, attempted to resume normal training, but the atmosphere was poisoned by betrayal. Students looked at each other suspiciously, wondering if anyone else might be hiding secrets. Trust had been shattered. Bakugo trained obsessively, pushing himself harder than ever. The humiliation of being defeated so easily burned in his mind. He needed to be stronger, faster, better. Todoroki sat in contemplation, remembering how Izuku had forced him to use his fire. Had that been manipulation? Or had there been genuine desire to help hidden beneath the villainy? Uraraka felt sick. She'd trusted Izuku, considered him a friend. All those kind words, those encouraging smiles, had they been lies? Or had some part of the boy she'd known been real? "We can't let him win," Ida declared during a class meeting. "Whatever his plans, we must stand against him. As heroes in training, it's our duty." "How?" Kaminari asked. "He can manipulate time. He's faster than we can perceive. He defeated our strongest students without effort. What can we possibly do?" "We prepare," Yaoyorozu said. "Study his abilities, find weaknesses, develop countermeasures. He may be powerful, but he's not omnipotent. If he were, he wouldn't have spent weeks at UA. He needed something from us. Information, perhaps. Or he's following some plan that requires specific timing." "She's right," Todoroki agreed. "He's been patient, methodical. That means he can be outmaneuvered if we're clever enough." But privately, each student wondered, how do you outmaneuver someone who's already seen every move you'll make? 3 days after the sports festival, the first attack came. A major hero agency in Tokyo exploded during daytime hours. Heroes responded immediately, using quirks to rescue civilians from the rubble. But as they worked, lightning struck. The reverse flash appeared in the center of the destruction, moving at speeds that made him appear in a dozen locations simultaneously. He vibrated his hands through rescue workers, stopping their hearts with precise, surgical strikes. Heroes who tried to engage found their attacks passing through his phased body. "To me, you've been dead for years," Izuku told one hero before vibrating his hand through the man's chest. "I've watched this moment play out across multiple timelines. Your death is inevitable, has been since you chose this profession." All Might arrived within minutes, but Izuku was already gone, leaving behind dozens of casualties and a message written in lightning burns on the ground. "Your students are next." The media went into a frenzy. Social media exploded with fear and speculation. The Reverse Flash, the time-traveling speedster who'd infiltrated UA, was now actively killing heroes. How many more would die? How could anyone stop him? All Might stood amid the destruction, staring at the message, feeling helpless in ways he hadn't since his fight with All for One. His greatest power, his strength, was useless against an enemy he couldn't hit. "He's baiting me," All Might realized, "drawing me out, making this personal." "Of course he is," Endeavor said, arriving on scene. "You heard his declaration. This entire thing is about you. He wants you to suffer, and he's going to hurt everyone around you to make that happen." "Then I need to face him," All Might decided. "Alone, end this before more people die." "That's what he wants," Eraserhead argued. "He's been planning this for years, decades even. Walking into his trap won't save anyone." "But doing nothing will cost more lives," All Might countered. "At least if I engage him, the destruction focuses on me instead of innocent people." He was right, and they knew it. The Reverse Flash's obsession with All Might was the only leverage they had, but using it meant putting the symbol of peace in direct danger against an enemy who could manipulate time itself. Izuku watched the news coverage from an abandoned warehouse, lightning crackling around him as he worked on various devices, chronospheres, time anchors, speed dampeners, all tools he'd need for the coming conflict. "They're scrambling," he said to himself, pleased. "Trying to find strategies, countermeasures, weaknesses, but they don't understand. I've lived this scenario 1,000 times. I know every possible response they'll make, every tactic they'll try, every desperate gamble they'll take, and I've already countered all of them." He activated a monitor showing surveillance footage from UA Academy, students training, teachers planning, heroes coordinating, all of them preparing for a battle they couldn't win. "Soon," he whispered. "Soon I'll show All Might what real suffering looks like, not just his death. That would be too merciful. I'll make him watch as his students fall one by one, as his legacy crumbles, as society loses faith in heroes. And when he's at his lowest, when he's lost everything, then I'll tell him the truth. His reflection in the monitor showed a face twisted by years of obsession and hatred. The innocent boy who'd once dreamed of being a hero was completely gone, replaced by something far darker. The truth that in every timeline, in every version of events, it always comes back to that moment on the rooftop. His rejection, my transformation, our inevitable conflict. We're bound together, him and I, across every possible reality. And in this timeline, I finally have the power to make him understand what he created. Lightning consumed him, and he vanished into the time stream once more. Academy implemented unprecedented security measures, quirk-canceling barriers around the campus, hero patrols every hour, students forbidden from leaving without escort. But everyone knew these precautions were theater. If the Reverse Flash wanted to attack, physical security wouldn't stop him. All Might met with his successor, young Toshinori Yagi. In this timeline, All Might had chosen a different successor earlier. He explained the situation, the danger, the reality that this enemy specifically targeted those connected to the symbol of peace. If he comes after you, All Might said seriously, don't try to fight him. Run. Alert the others. Survive. Promise me. I promise, the young successor agreed. But Sensei, this villain, Midoriya, do you think he can be saved? Brought back from whatever darkness consumed him? All Might wanted to say yes. Wanted to believe that the boy who'd smiled so genuinely during the sports festival, who'd helped his classmates, who'd saved students at USJ, that some part of that person was real and could be redeemed. But he'd seen the hatred in Izuku's eyes during the reveal. The cold calculation, the years, centuries of obsession that had twisted him into something inhuman. I don't know, All Might admitted, but I have to try. Even if he's become a monster, I share responsibility for creating him. I owe him at least one attempt at redemption. That night, lightning struck UA Academy. Izuku appeared in the center of the training grounds, yellow-red electricity arcing across the campus. Alarms blared, heroes mobilized. Students were evacuated to secure locations. But Izuku made no move to attack. He simply stood there, waiting, lightning dancing around him in hypnotic patterns. All Might arrived in his muscle form, landing 20 meters from his former admirer turned enemy. They faced each other in silence. The symbol of peace and the time-traveling speedster. The embodiment of hope versus the personification of obsessive hatred. Young Midoriya, All Might began. Don't call me that. Izuku interrupted, his voice cold. That boy died years ago, centuries ago. The name is Reverse Flash now, or if you prefer something more personal, call me your greatest failure. I'm sorry, All Might said sincerely, for what I said on that rooftop, for crushing your dreams. I was trying to be realistic, but I should have been kinder, should have offered alternatives instead of just rejecting you outright. Sorry? Izuku laughed, the sound bitter and broken. You're sorry to me? You've been sorry for years, All Might. I've heard this apology across dozens of timelines. Different words, same sentiment. And you know what? It doesn't change anything. Sorry doesn't undo the damage. Sorry doesn't fix a broken child. Sorry is just empty words from someone who doesn't truly understand what they've done. He moved, crossing the distance in a microsecond, stopping centimeters from All Might's face. I worshipped you, studied everything about you, memorized your battles, your rescues, your speeches. You were everything I wanted to be. And when I finally met you, when I finally asked the question that meant everything to me, you destroyed me with casual indifference. I didn't mean, it doesn't matter what you meant. Lightning erupted around Izuku, creating shockwaves that shattered windows across campus. What matters is what you did. You were the symbol of peace, the greatest hero. And you told a child his dreams were impossible. Do you understand how that broke me? How I spent years hating myself for being quirkless? How I considered ending it all because if All Might said I was worthless, then what was the point? All Might's eyes widened. Young Midoriya, I never said you were worthless. You didn't have to. Your rejection said it all. Izuku's voice cracked with emotion, genuine, raw pain bleeding through the villainous facade. But then I discovered something. Time, reality, the speed force. And I realized I could change things, could go back, could gain power, could become strong enough that you'd have to acknowledge me. He circled All Might, moving at normal speed for once, wanting the hero to see him clearly. I've lived through hundreds of timelines, trying to earn your approval. saving people you couldn't reach, defeating villains you struggled against, becoming faster, stronger, better. And in some timelines, you praised me, accepted me, trained me. Then why? Because it wasn't real, Izuku screamed. Those timelines were built on lies, on changing the past so you never rejected me in the first place. But this timeline, the original one, the true one, in this reality, you crushed me. And no amount of time travel can erase that. So I stopped trying to earn your approval. I decided to make you suffer instead. Tears streamed down Izuku's face, mixing with the lightning crackling around him. I wanted to be you, but you didn't want me. So I became better than you. And now I'm going to take everything from you, just like you took everything from me. All Might stood frozen, finally understanding the depth of damage he'd caused. This wasn't just a villain seeking destruction. This was a broken child, grown into a broken adult, with the power to break the world in return. I can't undo the past, All Might said quietly, but I can help you now. Whatever pain you're in, whatever suffering you've endured, let me help you heal. Heal? Izuku's laughter was hollow. I've had centuries to heal, All Might. Instead, I chose to fester, to rot, to let the hatred consume me until there was nothing left, because anger was better than the alternative. Anger gave me purpose, direction. Anger made me powerful. He held up his hand and lightning coalesced into a blade of pure time energy. This is who I am now. Not Izuku Midoriya, the quirkless boy who wanted to be a hero. I'm the Reverse Flash, the man who breaks heroes, the villain who makes symbols fall, and you, All Might, are my masterpiece. All Might took a fighting stance. Then I'll stop you, no matter what it takes. Oh, I'm counting on you to try, Izuku said, his smile returning, cold and calculating. That's what makes this fun. But remember, All Might, to me, you've been dead for years. I know how this fight ends. I've seen every possible outcome, and in every single one, he vanished, appearing behind All Might with his hand pressed against the hero's back. I win. The battle that followed was beyond human comprehension. All Might moved with speeds that broke the sound barrier, his Detroit smashes creating shockwaves that leveled buildings. But Izuku was faster. For every punch All Might threw, Izuku landed 10. For every attack the hero launched, the villain was already somewhere else. All Might's fist passed through Izuku's phased body. Izuku's vibrating hand stopped centimeters from All Might's heart, held back only by some thread of restraint the villain couldn't fully abandon. They clashed across the city, demolishing infrastructure, forcing civilians to evacuate. Pro-heroes tried to intervene but were casually swatted aside by Izuku's time remnants, time echoes of himself pulled from other moments, all fighting simultaneously. You can't hit what you can't see, Izuku taunted, appearing in 6 locations at once. Your speed is impressive for someone without time powers, but I've lapped you 1,000 times before you've even thrown your first punch. All Might roared, unleashing a Texas smash that created a tornado-force wind. Izuku stood at its center, untouched, lightning crackling around him as he nullified the attack's kinetic energy. Impressive, but ultimately futile. Izuku appeared in front of All Might, grabbing his arm. Let me show you something interesting. Your own death replayed across multiple timelines. He vibrated his hand against All Might's skin, and suddenly the hero's mind was flooded with visions. Alternate realities where he died in different ways. Killed by All for One, destroyed by Izuku himself, murdered by villains who exploited his weaknesses. Hundreds of deaths, all playing simultaneously. All Might screamed, the psychological assault overwhelming even his iron will. Izuku released him, and the hero collapsed to his knees, gasping. That's what I live with every day, Izuku said quietly. Time awareness means I remember every timeline, every version of events, every possibility. I know 1,000 ways to kill you, All Might. 1,000 ways you've already died in realities adjacent to this one, and the knowledge is maddening. He knelt beside the fallen hero, his voice almost gentle. Do you understand now why I can't be saved? Why redemption is impossible? I've lived too long, seen too much, done too many terrible things across too many timelines. The boy you rejected is long dead. What remains is just this, a broken remnant of what might have been if you'd been kinder. All Might looked up, and despite everything, despite the pain and the horror, he saw tears in Izuku's eyes. Then let me help end your suffering, All Might whispered. If you truly believe you're beyond saving, then why continue this? Why not just rest? Izuku stood abruptly, the moment of vulnerability gone. Because my goals are beyond your understanding. This isn't about ending my pain. It's about sharing it, making you feel a fraction of what you created, and I've only just begun. Lightning consumed him, and he vanished, leaving All Might bleeding and broken amid the ruins of their battle. The aftermath was catastrophic. Downtown Tokyo lay in ruins. Dozens of heroes were injured, civilian casualties numbered in the hundreds. Though Izuku had been careful to avoid directly killing non-combatants, this was about destroying heroes and hero society, not innocent people. All Might recovered in the hospital, his body battered, his mind haunted by the visions Izuku had shown him. Recovery Girl did what she could, but psychological trauma couldn't be healed with quirks. He's unstable, All Might told the assembled heroes, suffering from time awareness that lets him remember timelines that don't exist in our reality. The isolation, the knowledge, the sheer weight of it has driven him mad. Mad, but still calculating, Endeavor countered. He had multiple opportunities to kill you, but didn't. That means he's following some plan. He wants you alive for something. He wants me to suffer, All Might said simply. To watch as everything I've built is destroyed. My students, my legacy, hero society itself, all of it is his target. And he has the power and knowledge to actually accomplish it. Principal Nezu analyzed combat footage, his superhuman intelligence working through the problem. His time manipulation abilities appear to have limits. He can't be in multiple places at once permanently. Those time remnants only last for short periods, and his phasing requires concentration, which is why he occasionally stops to talk instead of maintaining it constantly. So he can be hurt, Eraserhead said. If we can catch him off guard, hit him before he can phase. In theory, Nezu agreed. But he's seen these strategies across other timelines. He knows what we'll try. The real question is, can we surprise him with something he hasn't encountered before? That became the focus of hero efforts, developing new tactics, unpredictable strategies, combinations of quirks that might catch the Reverse Flash off guard. But everyone knew it was a desperate gamble against an enemy who could manipulate probability itself through time travel. Unkurha in Class 1A. Class 1A held a meeting in their dorm. They'd watched the battle, seen All Might nearly fall, witnessed the Reverse Flash's absolute dominance. Fear gripped them, but so did determination. We can't let him win, Kirishima declared. Even if he's powerful, even if he's from the future or whatever, we have to stand against him. How? Kaminari asked. He defeated All Might. What chance do we have? We have numbers, Yaoyorozu suggested, and creativity. His power might let him see possible futures, but we can create impossible scenarios, actions so spontaneous, so unpredictable, that even precognition can't account for them. Random chaos as a strategy, Tokoyami considered it. Unconventional, but perhaps effective. Todoroki spoke quietly. He wants us to fight him. It's part of his plan to hurt All Might. If we engage, we're playing into his hands. But if we don't engage, he wins by default, Bakugo snarled. I refuse to hide like a coward from some time-traveling psycho. I'll fight him, and I'll win. You already fought him, Todoroki reminded him. You lost. Because I underestimated him. Next time. There won't be a next time, a voice said from the doorway. Everyone turned to see Izuku standing there, lightning crackling around him faintly, his smile pleasant despite the devastation he'd recently caused. How did you get past security? Ida demanded. I'm a time-traveling speedster, Izuku replied. Security means nothing to me. I can move between seconds, exist in moments so brief you don't perceive them. I've been standing here listening to your entire conversation and you never noticed. The students activated their quirks immediately, ice forming, explosions crackling, shadows extending. But Izuku raised a hand peacefully. I'm not here to fight, not today. I just wanted to talk to my former classmates. One last time. We're not your classmates, Uraraka said, hurt evident in her voice. You lied to us, used us, everything was fake. Was it? Izuku tilted his head. I genuinely enjoyed some of our interactions, found certain conversations interesting. You're all talented in your own ways. Under different circumstances, we might have actually been friends. But we're not in different circumstances, Todoroki said coldly. We're in this one, where you're a villain terrorizing society. True, Izuku acknowledged. And that brings me to my message. I'm going to attack UA Academy in exactly 1 week, 7 days from now. I'm going to destroy this institution, break the students, and show the world that even the greatest hero school can fall. Why tell us? Yaoyorozu demanded. Why give us time to prepare? Because it doesn't matter, Izuku said simply. I've run this scenario across multiple timelines. I've seen every possible defense you might mount, every strategy, every combination of quirks, every desperate gamble, and in every timeline, every possibility, every variation, I win. So I'm giving you time to prepare because it changes nothing. The outcome is inevitable. He turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and one more thing. In 3 days, someone will attack the hospital where All Might is recovering. It won't be me. I'll be busy elsewhere, but I thought you should know. You'll have to choose, defend UA and prepare for my attack, or send heroes to protect All Might. Split your forces or concentrate them. Either way, you lose something. You're insane, Bakugo growled. No, Izuku corrected. I'm traumatized, obsessed, and driven by hatred so profound it's consumed centuries of my existence, but not insane. Everything I do has purpose, reason, logic. Just because you don't understand my goals doesn't mean they're irrational. Lightning consumed him, and he vanished, leaving the students staring at empty space. The Hero Commission debated frantically. Should they evacuate UA, send all available heroes to protect All Might, distribute forces evenly? Every option had drawbacks. He's forcing us to make impossible choices, Nezu observed. Classic strategic manipulation. No matter what we choose, something will be vulnerable. Then we choose offense, Endeavor suggested. Find him before the attack. Strike first. How do you find someone who can move through time? Eraserhead asked. He could be hiding in any moment, any location. Searching for him is futile. All Might sat in his hospital bed, his expression grim. He wants me to stay here, to be the bait that draws heroes away from UA. If I insist on protecting myself, students die. If I refuse protection, I potentially die, which accomplishes his goal. It's a perfect trap. So we do neither, Gran Torino suggested, the old hero having arrived to help. You get discharged, return to UA, and we concentrate all forces there. Meet his attack head-on with everything we have. That leaves civilians vulnerable if it's a diversion, Midnight pointed out. It's not a diversion, All Might said with certainty. He's obsessed with me specifically, with destroying my legacy. UA represents that legacy more than anything. He'll be there. The real him, not a time remnant or distraction. He'll be there and we'll have our chance to stop him. The decision was made. All heroes would converge on UA Academy. Students would be evacuated to secure locations. And when the Reverse Flash arrived, they'd be ready. But Izuku had already seen this decision across other timelines, had already planned for it, had already won. 3 days passed in tense anticipation. The promised hospital attack occurred. A group of enhanced villains breached security, heading for All Might's room. But they found it empty. The hero already relocated to UA, where he could be protected by multiple pro-heroes simultaneously. The villains were quickly captured. Under interrogation, they admitted they'd been hired anonymously, given equipment and information about hospital security. They didn't know who their employer was, but the message had been clear. Attack All Might and create chaos. He's testing our responses, Nezu concluded, learning our strategies, refining his plan based on how we react. Or he already knows how we'll react, Aizawa countered, and he's just enjoying the show. 4 days before the promised attack, Izuku appeared on live television, hijacking broadcasts across Japan. He stood in an empty studio, lightning crackling around him, his expression serene. Citizens of Japan, he began, you've been told that heroes protect you, that All Might, the symbol of peace, represents hope and justice. But I'm here to show you the truth. Heroes create villains. Their rejection, their arrogance, their casual cruelty to those they deem unworthy. These things create monsters. He paced across the studio, his movements too fast for normal humans to fully track. I was a child with a dream, quirkless but determined, and the greatest hero in the world told me my dream was impossible, crushed my hope with indifference, so I made myself possible. I gained power through means you can't comprehend, and now I'm going to show you what happens when you abandon those who need help most. The camera zoomed in on his face, capturing eyes that had seen too much, lived too long, suffered beyond measure. In 4 days, I will attack UA Academy. The greatest hero school, the symbol of Hero Society's future, will fall. Your teachers won't stop me. Your heroes won't save you, because I am inevitable. I am the consequence of a society that values quirks over character. I am what you created. He smiled, and it was the saddest thing many viewers had ever seen. I wanted to be a hero, but you made me a villain instead. Remember that when you're searching through the rubble of what I destroy, remember that this could have been prevented with simple kindness, with accepting someone different, with believing in a quirkless child's dream. The broadcast cut out, leaving millions of viewers in shocked silence. The day of the attack arrived. UA Academy stood empty of students, having been evacuated to secure locations across Japan. Only heroes remained, pro-heroes, teachers, support staff with combat-ready quirks. Everyone who could fight, everyone willing to stand against the Reverse Flash. All Might stood in the center of the training grounds, his muscle form radiating power and determination. Around him, dozens of heroes had taken positions. Endeavor with his flames ready. Eraserhead prepared to negate quirks. Present Mike ready to use sonic attacks. Best Genist manipulating fibers. Gang Orca, Ryukyu, Edgeshot, every available hero had answered the call. The sky darkened with unnatural storm clouds, lightning crackling between them. Not natural lightning, but time distortions, reality itself bending as Izuku approached. He appeared at the school's entrance, walking slowly, his hands in his pockets, yellow-red lightning dancing around him in mesmerizing patterns. He wore a suit of red and black, designed to withstand the friction of super-speed movement. His expression was calm, almost peaceful. "You actually showed up," All Might called out. "Despite your claims of inevitability, you're giving us a chance to stop you." "No," Izuku corrected, still walking forward. "I'm giving you a chance to try. There's a difference. I've seen this battle play out across 17 different timelines. I know every attack you'll attempt, every strategy you've planned, every desperate gamble you'll make. And in every single timeline, every single possibility." He stopped at the training ground's center, surrounded by heroes, and smiled. "I win." Lightning exploded outward in a shockwave that sent several heroes flying. Izuku's eyes glowed with time energy, and suddenly multiple versions of himself appeared. Time remnants pulled from seconds ago and seconds ahead, all existing simultaneously. The battle erupted into chaos. Endeavor launched flames hot enough to melt steel. Izuku phased through them, appearing behind the flame hero and touching his shoulder. Endeavor's time accelerated forward 10 seconds, exhausting him as if he'd been fighting for minutes. He collapsed, gasping. Eraserhead activated his quirk, staring at Izuku directly. But the Reverse Flash had already anticipated this. A time remnant grabbed Eraserhead from behind, vibrating a hand near his eyes. The threat was clear. "Erase my quirk, and I'll vibrate through your skull." Eraserhead deactivated his quirk, and the remnant vanished, having served its purpose. Present Mike unleashed a sonic attack powerful enough to shatter concrete. Izuku moved faster than sound, appearing beside him before the attack fully formed. A casual touch, and Present Mike's vocal cords aged forward, becoming strained and damaged. The sonic attack died in his throat. Best Genist tried to trap Izuku with carbon fibers, creating a cage that should have been inescapable. But Izuku simply vibrated through the molecular structure, phasing through the trap and appearing in front of the hero. Creative, Izuku acknowledged, but ultimately insufficient. He touched the carbon fibers, accelerating their time until they decayed into dust. Gang Orca charged with enhanced strength and water attacks. Izuku dodged without apparent effort, each movement calculated and precise. His hand shot out, touching Gang Orca's chest, and the hero's momentum reversed. His own kinetic energy turned against him, sending him tumbling backward. Ryukyu transformed into her dragon form, her massive size and strength meant to overwhelm the speedster. But Izuku ran circles around her at velocities that created sonic booms with each step. The dragon couldn't track him, couldn't land a hit, couldn't do anything except roar in frustration. "Do you see yet?" Izuku shouted over the chaos. "Do you understand how pointless this is? You're fighting someone who's already won, someone who's lived through this scenario and knows every outcome." All Might launched forward, his speed impressive even by hero standards. His fist connected with Izuku's face, or seemed to. At the last moment, Izuku phased and All Might's punch passed through empty air. "Close," Izuku taunted, appearing behind All Might. "But you'll need to be faster than light to hit me. And you're not quite there, are you?" All Might spun, unleashing a Delaware smash that created a wind vortex. Izuku stood at its center, lightning protecting him from the kinetic force. "I've fought you across a dozen timelines," Izuku continued, dodging All Might's attacks with casual ease. "I know every technique you've developed, every special move, every desperation attack, and I've countered them all before you even knew they existed." He moved faster, creating a ring of time remnants around All Might, 20 versions of himself, all attacking from different angles simultaneously. All Might tried to fight back, his superior strength and durability allowing him to tank hits that would kill normal people. But even he couldn't withstand 20 opponents attacking in perfect coordination. The other heroes tried to help, but they were occupied with their own battles against time remnants. Izuku had created dozens of time echoes, each one fighting with his full power and knowledge, each one disappearing after a few minutes, only to be replaced by new ones. "This is the problem with fighting a speedster," Izuku explained as he pummeled All Might from multiple directions. "We don't just move fast, we think fast, process fast, experience more in seconds than you do in hours. To me, this battle has been raging for days. To you, it's been minutes." All Might fell to one knee, his body battered, his breathing labored, time remnants converging to Izuku, who stood before the symbol of peace with an expression of genuine sadness. "I didn't want it to be this way," Izuku whispered. "I wanted you to train me, to believe in me, to help me become a hero despite being quirkless. And if you had, none of this would exist. No reverse flash, no attacks, no suffering, just a hero and his student working together to save people." He knelt beside All Might, lightning crackling between them. "But that timeline died when you rejected me. What remains are just echoes, possibilities that never were. And you'll carry that knowledge with you, All Might. Every person I hurt, every hero I kill, every catastrophe I create, all of it could have been prevented if you'd just been kinder to a quirkless child." All Might looked up, blood dripping from his mouth, his eyes filled with regret and understanding. "You're right, I failed you. Failed to see your potential, your determination, your heart, and I'm sorry, truly, deeply sorry." "I know," Izuku said softly. "I've heard this apology before, and it changes nothing." He stood preparing to deliver the final blow, not to kill, never to kill, but to break, to shatter the symbol of peace completely, to make him suffer in ways physical damage never could. But before he could move, something unexpected happened. The students of Class 1A burst through the school's entrance, having disobeyed evacuation orders and returned to fight. Bakugo, Todoroki, Uraraka, Ida, Yaoyorozu, all of them together ready to stand against the reverse flash. Izuku turned, genuinely surprised. "You shouldn't be here." "We know," Midoriya said, "but we couldn't let you destroy our school, our teacher, our future." For the first time in the battle, Izuku's expression shifted to something uncertain. He'd seen these students across multiple timelines, but in every scenario, they'd stayed evacuated. Their presence here was new, unpredictable, and that meant his victory wasn't as certain as he'd believed. "Interesting," he murmured, lightning crackling brighter around him. "Very interesting." The students attacked in coordinated teams, their training paying off as they worked together with practiced precision. Todoroki created ice walls to limit Izuku's movement. Bakugo used explosions to create zones of heated air that disrupted visual tracking. Yaoyorozu produced equipment designed specifically to counter speedsters, flash grenades, sonic emitters, containment foams. But Izuku was still faster, still smarter, still overwhelmingly powerful. He moved through their attacks like water, flowing around obstacles, phasing through barriers, accelerating time on projectiles so they aged and decayed before reaching him. "You're improving," he acknowledged, dodging an ice spike from Todoroki. "Your coordination is better, your strategies more refined, but it's not enough." He appeared in front of Uraraka, his hand reaching for her. But Bakugo exploded between them, his blast forcing Izuku to phase and retreat. Ida followed up with a high-speed kick that, while slower than Izuku, created enough force to disrupt the speedster's footing. For the first time in the battle, Izuku was being pushed back. Not defeated, he was still far too powerful, but challenged, forced to actually try instead of casually dominating. "This is new," he said, a hint of genuine interest in his voice. "In other timelines, you stayed safe, followed orders, but here you chose to fight, chose to risk everything for your teacher, your school, your ideals." He caught Todoroki's fist, stopping the Icefire user's attack cold. "Do you know what that makes you? Heroes. True heroes. The kind I wanted to be, once upon a time." Lightning erupted from his body in a massive shockwave that sent all the students flying backward. When they struggled to their feet, they found Izuku standing amid the destruction, his expression torn between admiration and hatred. "You remind me of who I could have been," he said quietly. "If things had been different, if I'd been accepted, if I'd had friends like you, teachers who believed in me, a school that welcomed me despite being quirkless." He looked at All Might, who was struggling to stand. "But I didn't have those things. I had rejection, isolation, despair, and I had time, infinite time, to let those feelings fester and grow into something monstrous." The students formed a protective ring around All Might, ready to defend their teacher even against impossible odds. Izuku saw their determination, their unity, their heroic spirit, and something inside him cracked. "Forgive me," he whispered, so quietly only All Might heard. "But to me, you've been suffering for years." He raised his hand, preparing to create a time shockwave that would age everything in the area forward by decades, effectively destroying UA Academy and everyone in it. But before he could release the attack, a portal opened beside him and a hand grabbed his shoulder, a hand that pulsed with raw time energy that matched his own. Izuku's eyes widened. "That's impossible." A figure stepped through the portal, another Izuku, but different. Older, scarred, wearing armor that crackled with blue lightning instead of yellow-red. This Izuku's eyes held even more pain, even more knowledge, even more terrible experience. "Hello, younger me," the new Izuku said. "We need to talk about your little tantrum." The students stared in confusion. All Might's eyes widened in horror. Because if there was one reverse flash, one time-traveling speedster bent on destroying hero society, what did it mean that there was another? The original Izuku staggered back, his confident facade crumbling. "You're not supposed to exist. I erased that timeline. I made sure." "You made sure nothing," the older Izuku interrupted. "Did you really think you were the only version of yourself capable of time travel? That your obsession with All Might was unique? We're all broken, all the Izukus across all the timelines. But some of us learned to heal, to move past the rejection, to become something better than this." He gestured at the destruction, the injured heroes, the terrified students. "Look at what you've done. Look at what you've become. Is this really what you wanted? Does making All Might suffer actually fix anything? Does destroying hero society bring back the innocent boy you once were?" The younger Izuku's hands trembled, wave lightning flickering erratically around him. "You don't understand. He needs to pay. They all need to pay for what they did to us." "They do understand," the older Izuku countered. "Look at them. All Might is crying. The students are terrified but still standing. They're suffering, younger me. You've accomplished your goal. You've made them hurt. Now what? Is this enough? Will it ever be enough?" The younger Izuku looked at All Might, saw the tears streaming down the hero's face, saw the genuine remorse and pain, and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no closure, just the same empty hatred that had driven him for centuries. "It's not enough," he whispered. "It'll never be enough, because nothing can undo what was done to us. Nothing can fix the broken child I was. So I might as well keep destroying until everything that reminds me of my pain is gone." "Then you'll destroy forever," the older Izuku said sadly, "because the pain isn't out there. It's in here." He touched his younger self's chest. "And you can't run from it, no matter how fast you are. Believe me, I've tried." The two Izukus stood facing each other, mirror images of trauma and obsession, while everyone else watched in stunned silence. The battle had become something else, an intervention, a confrontation between different versions of the same broken person. "You came here to stop me?" the younger Izuku asked. "No," the older one replied. "I came here to give you a choice that I've continued down this path and it leads to nothing but more pain. For you, for them, for everyone. I've seen it, I've lived it. Or you could stop, right now. This moment, choose to break the cycle instead of breaking more people. And then what? They'll just forgive me? Accept me? After everything I've done? No, the older Izuku admitted. They'll probably imprison you, study you, maybe try to help you. It won't be easy, won't be comfortable, but it'll be real, genuine, a chance to heal instead of just destroying. The younger Izuku looked at the destruction around him, at the injured heroes, at the students who'd risked everything to protect their teacher. He thought about the centuries he'd spent obsessing over All Might, manipulating timelines, becoming more and more monstrous, and he realized that the older version of himself was right. This path led nowhere. Victory would taste like ash. Revenge wouldn't heal the wounded child inside him. But letting go seemed impossible. The hatred had become part of his identity. Without it, what was he? I don't know if I can stop, he admitted, vulnerability creeping into his voice. Then let me help you, the older Izuku offered, extending his hand. Let me show you a different way, a timeline where we healed instead of destroyed, where we forgave instead of hated. It's not perfect, it's hard. Some days are worse than others, but it's better than this. The younger Izuku stared at the offered hand, trembling. This was the moment, the choice that would define everything. Continue being the Reverse Flash, or try to become something else. He reached out, his hand shaking, preparing to accept the help, and then he stopped. No, the word echoed across the battlefield. The older Izuku's expression fell, sadness and disappointment mixing with understanding. I've controlled your life for so long, the younger Izuku said to All Might, his voice cold once more. How will you get along without me? He pulled back his hand, lightning consuming him completely. My goals are beyond your understanding, both of you, all of you. I've spent centuries planning this. I've become something more than human, more than villain, more than the sum of my trauma. And I won't stop until Hero Society burns to ash. Then I'm sorry, the older Izuku said, because what happens next is going to hurt. He moved with speed that matched his younger self, grabbing him and pulling him toward the portal he'd arrived through. The two speedsters became blurs of lightning, yellow, red, and blue clashing, time energies colliding, reality itself screaming under the strain. They vanished through the portal, still fighting, leaving behind a battlefield of shocked heroes and students. All Might collapsed completely, his muscle form deflating, revealing his true skeletal appearance to everyone present. He looked around at the destruction, at his injured colleagues, at the students who'd risked everything. I'm sorry, he whispered. This is my fault, all of it. No, Todoroki said firmly. It's his fault, his choice, his actions. You gave him information. He decided to become a monster. But if I'd been kinder, then maybe he would have become a different monster, Yaoyorozu interrupted. Or maybe nothing would have changed. We can't know. What we know is that he chose villainy, chose hatred, chose to hurt people. And that's on him, not you. The heroes began recovery efforts, tending to wounded, stabilizing structures containing the time distortions Izuku had left behind. News helicopters circled overhead, broadcasting footage of the devastation to the world. UA Academy stood damaged but not destroyed. Hero Society had been shaken but not shattered. The Reverse Flash had been driven off but not defeated. And somewhere in the time stream, two Izukus fought a battle that would determine the fate of not just this timeline, but all timelines. 1 week later, UA Academy began repairs. Students returned cautiously, processing the trauma of facing a villain who'd once been their classmate. Therapy sessions became mandatory. Security increased exponentially. And All Might gave a speech that was broadcast worldwide. I have made many mistakes in my career, he said, his true form visible to everyone. I have failed people who needed help. I have rejected those who deserved kindness. And one of those failures created a monster that nearly destroyed everything I'd built. He looked directly at the camera, speaking not just to Japan, but to every timeline where an Izuku Midoriya might be watching. But I will not let that failure define me. I will learn from it. I will be better. I will help those who feel rejected, who feel powerless, who feel like their dreams are impossible. Because I now understand that dismissing someone's dreams, even with honest intentions, can create consequences beyond imagination. The speech resonated with people across the world. Support for heroes surged, but so did understanding of villains, recognition that many were created by society's failures, by casual cruelty, by rejection at critical moments. In the time stream, the battle between the two Izukus raged on. They fought across different timelines, different realities, different possibilities, and in each one they left traces, warnings, messages, hints about the Reverse Flash's ultimate plan, because the truth was more terrible than anyone realized. The younger Izuku hadn't been trying to destroy hero society in this timeline. He'd been using it as a testing ground, a place to refine his abilities and strategies. His real target was something far larger, something that would affect every timeline simultaneously. And while everyone focused on rebuilding, on healing, on preparing for his next attack in their reality, he was already moving forward with the next phase of his plan. Somewhere in the time stream, Izuku Midoriya, the Reverse Flash, the man who'd become a monster because of rejection, smiled as he activated devices that would make everything that came before seem like a prelude. "To me, you've been dead for years, All Might," he whispered to himself. "But now I'm going to make that true across every timeline, every reality, every possibility. And when I'm done, it'll be like you never existed at all." Lightning consumed him and he vanished, preparing for a catastrophe that would make the UA attack look like a minor inconvenience. The Reverse Flash's war had only just begun. The time stream rippled with violent energy as two Izuku Midoriyas clashed across dimensions that shouldn't exist. Yellow-red lightning collided with blue time fire, each impact sending shockwaves through realities that hadn't been born yet and timelines that had already died. But while the older version of himself occupied one fragment of his consciousness, the younger Izuku, the true Reverse Flash, had already anticipated this interference. The fight was a distraction, a performance to make the heroes believe he was occupied elsewhere. The real Izuku Midoriya stood atop Tokyo Tower, overlooking the city that had once rejected him, his yellow-red lightning casting everything below in an ominous glow. 23 time remnants flickered into existence around him, each one a perfect copy pulled from moments ahead and behind in his personal timeline, each one possessing his full power and knowledge. "Gentlemen," he addressed his time duplicates with a smile that held no warmth, "it's time to show this world what happens when you tell a child his dreams are impossible. Time dominance protocol is now active. You all know your targets." The remnants nodded in unison, then scattered in bursts of lightning, each one traveling at velocities that made sound seem motionless. Within 3 seconds, they had positioned themselves across every major city in Japan. Tokyo, Osaka, Nagoya, Sapporo, Fukuoka, Yokohama. Everywhere heroes operated, everywhere the lie of hero society had taken root, a Reverse Flash now waited. Izuku activated the communications device he'd built using technology that wouldn't exist for another 50 years in this timeline. Every television screen in Japan flickered to life simultaneously. Every radio crackled with his voice. Every smartphone displayed his face. "Citizens of Japan," he began, his voice carrying the weight of centuries of obsession. "Your heroes have failed you. They've failed this entire society by perpetuating a lie, that those with impressive quirks are superior, that those without flashy abilities are worthless, that strength determines worth. Today, I prove that lie false by defeating every hero who stands against me." He gestured, and the screen split into multiple feeds showing his time remnants positioned across the country. "I am everywhere, I am inevitable, and I am faster than your heroes can comprehend. Watch as the symbol of hope crumbles, watch as the pillars of hero society fall, and understand that this could have been prevented if All Might had simply been kind to a quirkless child 10 years ago." The broadcast cut out, leaving millions of viewers in terrified silence. Then the lightning struck. In Osaka, the hero agency operated by a pro-hero named Titanium Fist, a man whose quirk allowed him to harden his entire body to titanium density, was coordinating evacuation procedures when yellow-red lightning exploded through the reinforced windows. A time remnant appeared in the center of their operations room, moving so fast that security cameras only registered streaks of light. 12 heroes turned to engage, their quirks activating in perfect synchronization, a testament to their training and teamwork. Titanium Fist charged forward, his metallic body gleaming under the fluorescent lights, his punch capable of denting tank armor. His fist connected with empty air as the reverse flash phased through him, appearing behind the hardened hero and touching his shoulder. Impressive density, the Remnant said pleasantly. But density is just compressed mass over time, and I control time. Titanium Fist's time perception accelerated forward by 10 seconds. From his perspective, he experienced 10 seconds of exhaustion in an instant, his quirk's energy drain hitting him all at once. He collapsed, his body returning to flesh as consciousness fled. A hero with a water manipulation quirk, Tsunami, unleashed a pressurized blast capable of cutting through steel. The reverse flash vibrated his hand at frequencies that disrupted the molecular bonds of the water itself, causing it to separate into an oxygen gas before it reached him. Basic chemistry, he explained to the shocked hero. Water is H2O. Vibrate at the right frequency and you can split those bonds. Your quirk is impressive, but I understand matter at a level you can't imagine. He appeared in front of Tsunami, his hand touching her forehead. Her time slowed to a crawl. From her perspective, the world accelerated to impossible speeds. The Remnant maintained the effect for exactly 0.8 seconds of real time, which Tsunami experienced as 8 hours of sensory overload. Her mind shut down to protect itself, and she crumpled. The remaining 10 heroes attacked simultaneously. Fire, ice, electromagnetic pulses, hardened constructs, sound waves, gravity manipulation, all converging on the speedster from different angles. The reverse flash created a vortex by running in a tight circle at supersonic speeds, the resulting wind funnel redirecting every attack back at its source. Fire burned the pyrokinetic, ice froze the cryomancer, electromagnetic feedback fried the tech hero's equipment. You're thinking in 3 dimensions, the Remnant said, appearing on the ceiling, standing perpendicular to gravity through sheer speed. But I experience 4 dimensions simultaneously. Time is just another direction to me, which means I've already seen this fight end. He dropped from the ceiling, accelerating to Mach 3 before his feet touched the ground. The sonic boom alone shattered windows and threw 6 heroes against the walls. The remaining 4 tried to coordinate a final defense, but the reverse flash moved between them faster than neurons could fire, touching each one and aging their quirk-generated constructs forward until they decayed into nothing. Within 45 seconds, the entire Osaka Hero Agency lay in ruins, 12 pro-heroes unconscious, and the Time Remnant stood amid the destruction, with lightning crackling around him in satisfied patterns. Target eliminated, he reported through the time link, moving to secondary location. In Sapporo, another Remnant confronted a team of cold-weather rescue heroes led by a woman named Glacier Guardian. Her quirk allowed her to create and manipulate ice on a massive scale, far beyond what Todoroki currently managed. She was considered one of the top 10 heroes in the northern region. "Stand down," she commanded, her voice carrying the authority of someone who'd saved thousands of lives through decades of heroic work. "Whatever grievance you have with Hero Society, this isn't the way to address it. Isn't it?" The reverse flash countered, his head tilting in that unsettling way that suggested he was perceiving time differently than normal humans. "Hero Society rejected me when I needed help most, told me my dreams were worthless because I lacked genetic lottery winnings. So I made myself worthy through means you can't comprehend. And now I'm showing the world that heroes are just as fallible as everyone else." Glacier Guardian didn't waste time with further words. She created an ice prison around the speedster, a crystalline cage with walls 3 meters thick, reinforced with structural integrity beyond normal ice through her quirk's advanced manipulation. The reverse flash phased through it like it wasn't there, appearing beside her with a smile. "Ice is just frozen water, and I already showed someone today what I can do to water." He vibrated his hand and pressed it against the massive ice construct she'd created. The molecular bonds vibrated apart, and the entire structure collapsed into steam and mist. Glacier Guardian's partner, a hero named Thermal Shock, who could create sudden temperature differentials, attempted to disorient the speedster by creating a pocket of extreme heat next to extreme cold. The resulting pressure differential should have incapacitated anyone caught within it. The Reverse Flash experienced the attack in bullet time, his accelerated perception making the thermal shock seem to move in slow motion. He simply walked out of the affected area before the pressure differential could form completely, appearing behind thermal shock. Creative, he acknowledged. Using rapid temperature change to create atmospheric pressure weapons. Very creative, but you're still thinking too slowly. A tap to thermal shock's spine, and the hero's personal timeline decelerated. From his perspective, the world around him moved at light speed, an incomprehensible blur of motion that his brain couldn't process. He collapsed from sensory overload. The remaining rescue heroes attacked in coordinated waves, their teamwork honed through years of dangerous rescue operations in Sapporo's harsh climate. But coordination meant nothing when your opponent moved faster than perception itself. The Reverse Flash created 7 afterimages through pure speed, making it seem like 8 speedsters fought simultaneously. The rescue heroes couldn't track which one was real, attacking mirages that dispersed into yellow lightning when struck. This is the fundamental problem with hero society, the Remnant explained, while casually defeating each hero with precise time manipulation. You're trained to save people, to rescue those in danger, to be reactive. But I'm proactive. I've already won this fight across multiple timelines. You're just experiencing the inevitable conclusion. Glacier Guardian made one final desperate attempt, creating a massive ice construct shaped like a dragon, her ultimate technique that had defeated numerous villains throughout her career. The ice dragon lunged with crushing force and freezing breath. The Reverse Flash caught its jaws with his bare hands, vibrating at frequencies that shattered the construct from within. Shards of ice exploded outward, and through the crystalline debris, he appeared in front of Glacier Guardian. "You've saved thousands of lives," he said, and genuine respect colored his voice. "You've been a true hero in every sense that matters, but today you're fighting something beyond heroism. You're fighting inevitability itself." He touched her shoulder, and her time accelerated forward by 20 seconds. The exhaustion of maintaining such a massive ice construct hit her all at once. She fell, unconscious, before she hit the ground. The Sapporo rescue team lay defeated. Another remnant reported success. In Fukuoka, a time remnant confronted a hero named Seismic Strike, whose quirk allowed him to create localized earthquakes. The underground hero had evacuated civilians and prepared his defense, knowing the Reverse Flash was coming. "I've studied you," Seismic Strike said, his hands pressed against the ground, ready to unleash his quirk at maximum power. "You're fast, but speed requires solid ground to push against. Take away the ground, and you have nothing." "An interesting theory," the Reverse Flash replied. "Shall we test it?" Seismic Strike unleashed his quirk, creating a magnitude 7 earthquake localized to a 3-block radius. The ground rippled like water, buildings swaying, concrete cracking, everything within the affected area becoming unstable. The Reverse Flash ran across the shaking ground as if it were perfectly solid, his speed allowing him to touch the surface before it shifted beneath him. He created a vortex around Seismic Strike, the cyclonic winds lifting the hero off the ground entirely. "You were correct that I need ground to push against," the Remnant acknowledged, "but I push against it thousands of times per second. Your earthquake is moving at seismic wave speeds, approximately 5 kilometers per second. I'm moving at Mach 50. Your earth manipulation is standing still from my perspective." He appeared behind Seismic Strike, who was still suspended in the wind vortex, and touched the hero's inner ear. The semi-circular canals that controlled balance experienced time acceleration. Years of wear compressed into seconds. Seismic Strike's equilibrium failed completely, and even when the vortex released him, he couldn't stand. The Underground Heroes support team, 3 heroes specializing in subterranean combat, emerged from tunnels they'd prepared. Their quirks allowed them to swim through earth, harden dirt into weapons, and sense vibrations through the ground. The Reverse Flash created a sonic boom that collapsed their tunnels before they could fully emerge, then vibrated through the ground itself to appear in their underground network. In the darkness of the earth, with limited space to maneuver, they thought they had the advantage. They were wrong. Yellow-red lightning illuminated the tunnels as the speedster moved through them at velocities that shouldn't be possible in confined spaces. He phased through Earth, ran along walls and ceilings, appeared in multiple locations simultaneously through sheer speed. The vibration sensor hero tried to track his movements, but the reverse flash created so many vibrations, thousands of footfalls per second, that the sensory input overwhelmed her quirk. She collapsed with blood trickling from her ears, her sensory system overloaded. The hero, who could harden dirt, created spikes and barriers, trying to impale or trap the speedster. But Earth was just compressed minerals and organic matter, and the reverse flash vibrated through it all, appearing behind the Earth manipulator and touching the base of his skull. The hero's personal timeline skipped forward 3 seconds, and his consciousness couldn't handle the discontinuity. He fainted. The final underground hero, the one who could swim through Earth, tried to escape by diving into the ground. The reverse flash grabbed his ankle before he could fully submerge, yanking him back up with strength enhanced by momentum. A gentle tap to the temple, and the hero joined his unconscious teammates. The remnant emerged from the underground network, standing amid the earthquake damage, and addressed the cameras he knew were watching. 4 more heroes defeated. 4 more examples of how hero society's strength is insufficient against someone who's transcended their limitations. All Might, are you watching? Are you seeing what I'm doing to your legacy? Across Japan, similar scenes played out with brutal efficiency. In Nagoya, a remnant defeated a team of 6 heroes who specialized in coordinated attacks, overwhelming them with speed that made their teamwork meaningless. In Yokohama, another remnant dismantled a defensive perimeter established by 15 heroes, phasing through their barriers and defeating them one by one in displays of overwhelming superiority. Each victory was broadcast, either through security footage or civilian recordings. Social media exploded with fear and disbelief. Heroes were falling everywhere, and the reverse flash seemed unstoppable. In Tokyo, the original Izuku stood atop the tower, monitoring each remnant's progress through his time awareness. He could perceive all of their experiences simultaneously, a maddening ability that would have driven a normal person insane, but he'd long since embraced the chaos of time omniscience. 17 hero teams defeated, he murmured to himself. 43 individual heroes rendered unconscious, and I've barely begun. He activated his communicator again, hijacking broadcast systems across Japan. All Might, I know you're mobilizing. I know you're trying to coordinate a response, but understand this, while you're rushing to save one location, I'm attacking 10 others. While you're defeating one of my time remnants, 3 more are overwhelming hero agencies across the country. You can't be everywhere at once, but I can. The broadcast showed split screens of his remnants standing victorious over fallen heroes. This is what happens when someone with absolute determination gains absolute power. This is what you created when you rejected a child who worshipped you. And this is only the beginning. In the UA faculty lounge, All Might watched the broadcasts with growing horror. Nezu stood beside him, the principal's superhuman intelligence working through scenarios at impossible speeds, but even he couldn't find a solution. He's right, Nezu admitted quietly. We can't defend everywhere simultaneously. He's forcing us to choose which heroes to save and which to sacrifice. It's a perfect strategic assault, overwhelming force applied to multiple targets faster than we can coordinate responses. Then we don't defend, All Might said, his jaw set with determination. We gather every available hero at UA, make ourselves a target he can't ignore, force him to fight us all at once. That's what he wants. Eraserhead warned. He's manipulating us into a decisive battle where his speed and power give him every advantage. I know, All Might agreed. But what choice do we have? If we don't confront him, he'll systematically defeat every hero in Japan. At least this way, we control the battlefield. The decision was made. Emergency protocols activated across the hero network. Every available pro-hero received the same message. Converge on UA Academy. This was humanity's last stand against the reverse flash. In Kyoto, a time remnant confronted a hero named Phantom Strike, whose quirk allowed her to become intangible for brief periods. She'd been confident that her ability would counter the speedster's attacks. After all, if she was intangible, how could he hurt her? The reverse flash smiled when he saw her activate her quirk. Intangibility. Fascinating. You're shifting your molecular density to phase through matter. I do that too. Let me show you the difference between your quirk and my power. When Phantom Strike attacked while intangible, the Reverse Flash phased at the exact same frequency, allowing his attack to connect with her phased form. Her eyes widened in shock. No one had ever been able to touch her while she was intangible. Your quirk gives you one phasing frequency, he explained, appearing behind her before she could react. I can phase at infinite frequencies. I can exist in states of matter you don't have words for. Your intangibility is a parlor trick compared to my time manipulation. He vibrated his hand through her phased form, disrupting her quirk's energy signature. Phantom Strike's intangibility failed and she solidified involuntarily. A gentle push, and she fell unconscious. Her support team, 3 heroes with complementary abilities, attacked immediately. One created sonic constructs, another manipulated shadows, the third could teleport short distances. The sonic constructs shattered against the Reverse Flash's shadow manipulation, couldn't catch something moving faster than light. And the teleporter found himself constantly arriving where the speedster had been seconds before, never where he was now. Teleportation is interesting, the Remnant said conversationally while dodging the teleporter's attacks, but it's still slower than running. You have to think about your destination, calculate the coordinates, activate your quirk, then materialize. That process takes approximately 0.3 seconds. I can travel the same distance in 0.001 seconds, so really you're just making yourself predictable. He caught the teleporter mid-jump, interrupting the quirk's activation, and the hero materialized halfway inside the ground. Not fatally, but painfully enough to incapacitate him. The shadow manipulator tried to trap the speedster in darkness, creating a sphere of absolute black that should have disoriented anyone inside. The Reverse Flash simply ran out of it before the sphere fully formed, moving so fast the shadows couldn't keep up. Darkness is just the absence of light, he said, creating lightning that illuminated the area. And I generate my own light through friction with the atmosphere. Your shadows can't exist where I am. The Sonic Construct hero made one final attempt, creating a sound-based barrier that vibrated at frequencies meant to disorient and incapacitate. The Reverse Flash matched the frequency perfectly, creating a resonance that amplified the sonic attack back onto its creator. The hero fell victim to his own quirk. 4 more heroes defeated in Kyoto, the Remnant reported, moving to next target. International heroes began arriving in Japan, responding to emergency requests for assistance. From America came a speedster hero named Velocity, who could run at supersonic speeds, not nearly as fast as the Reverse Flash, but fast enough to potentially provide support. The hero landed in Tokyo and immediately encountered one of Izuku's time remnants. Finally, the Remnant said with genuine interest. Another speedster. This will be educational. Velocity launched into an attack, running circles around the Reverse Flash, creating wind currents and sonic booms. To normal observers, both heroes were invisible blurs, streaks of color moving faster than the eye could track. But to the Reverse Flash, Velocity was moving in slow motion. You're fast, the Remnant acknowledged, easily dodging Velocity's attacks. Mach 5, by my estimation. Very impressive for someone without time powers. But I'm moving at Mach 50. You're a snail to me. He accelerated past Velocity, creating a sonic boom that knocked the American hero off balance, then appeared in front of him and simply pushed. The momentum difference was enormous. Velocity hit a building with enough force to crater the wall. Speed isn't just about moving fast, the Reverse Flash explains, standing over the injured hero. It's about thinking fast, perceiving fast, existing fast. You move at supersonic speeds. I move at time speeds. We're not even in the same category. He touched Velocity's leg, and the hero's personal timeline fractured. His left leg existed 1 second ahead of the rest of his body. The time discontinuity was agonizing. Velocity screamed and passed out from the pain. Tell your country that American heroes are no match for time powers, the Remnant said to the cameras recording the encounter. Tell them that Hero Society's strongest can't stop what I've become. The Hero Commission held an emergency meeting in their fortified headquarters, trying to coordinate any response to the systematic destruction of Hero Society. 23 commissioners argued strategies, debated protocols, and considered increasingly desperate options. Then yellow-red lightning exploded through their reinforced doors. A time remnant appeared in the center of the conference room, his eyes scanning the assembled authority figures with cold calculation. Security heroes activated their quirks immediately. Barriers formed, projectiles launched, defensive measures engaged. The reverse flash phased through all of it, appearing at the head of the conference table where the commission president sat. "Gentlemen and ladies," he said pleasantly, "let me explain why your organization is fundamentally flawed. You regulate heroes based on popular opinion and profit margins rather than genuine heroism. You prioritize appearance over substance. You rejected my application for hero course admission because I was quirkless, even though I had perfect grades and exceptional physical fitness. Your system is corrupt." The commission president, a man named Takeshi Yamamoto, whose quirk allowed him to create force fields, activated his strongest barrier around the speedster. It was designed to withstand All Might's punches. The reverse flash vibrated his hand through it like tissue paper. Force fields are just energy constructs, and I can disrupt energy at the molecular level. He moved through the room at speeds that made him appear in 6 places simultaneously, touching each commissioner's shoulder as he passed. Each one experienced time acceleration. Their perception sped forward by 5 seconds, creating disorientation and nausea so severe they couldn't remain conscious. Within 12 seconds, the entire Hero Commission leadership lay unconscious on the conference room floor. "Your organization is disbanded," the remnant declared to the empty room. "Hero Society no longer has governing authority. You failed in your duty to society by perpetuating a flawed system. Consider this my resignation from caring about your approval." He vanished in a burst of lightning, leaving the unconscious commissioners to be found by emergency responders. News of the Hero Commission's defeat spread like wildfire. Without coordination, Hero Society began fragmenting. Individual heroes didn't know whether to fight, hide, or surrender. Civilians panicked as the institutions they'd trusted for decades collapsed in hours. All Might watched it happen from UA, his heart breaking with each new report. This was his legacy being destroyed. Every hero he'd inspired, every person he'd saved, every symbol he'd represented, all of it crumbling because he'd failed to be kind to one quirkless child. "How many heroes has he defeated now?" All Might asked quietly. 73 confirmed, Nezu replied, his voice hollow. "And those are just the ones we have reports on. The actual number is likely higher. He's destroyed 16 hero agencies, defeated the Hero Commission leadership, and overwhelmed every coordinated defense we've attempted. In 6 hours, he's accomplished what no villain in history has managed. He's brought Hero Society to its knees." "Then we end this," All Might decided. "We gather everyone we can at UA and we make our stand. If we fall, at least we fall fighting." "And if we win?" Eraserhead asked. All Might didn't answer. They all knew the truth. Victory seemed impossible against an enemy who could manipulate time itself. The Reverse Flash's time remnants began converging back toward Tokyo, their missions across Japan complete. In their wake, they left unconscious heroes, destroyed infrastructure, and a society paralyzed by fear. The original Izuku stood atop Tokyo Tower, lightning crackling around him in triumphant patterns. Through his time awareness, he perceived all of his remnants' experiences simultaneously. Every battle, every victory, every moment of heroes' hope dying. 73 heroes defeated, he murmured to himself. 16 agencies destroyed. The Hero Commission disbanded, and I haven't even faced the real challenge yet. He looked toward UA Academy, where he knew All Might was gathering forces for a desperate final stand. His smile widened. "Soon, All Might. Soon you'll face me directly, and I'll show you exactly what you created when you rejected me. I'll make you watch as every hero you inspired falls. I'll dismantle everything you've built, and then when you're at your absolute lowest, when you've lost everything, that's when I'll defeat you personally." Lightning consumed him, and he began moving toward UA, his time remnants following like an army of time ghosts. In underground shelters across Tokyo, civilians huddled around screens showing the devastation. Children cried, asking where the heroes were, why no one was stopping the bad man. Parents had no answers. One elderly woman watched the broadcasts with tears streaming down her face. "I remember when Hero Society began," she said to no one in particular. "I remember when All Might first appeared and gave us hope. I never imagined I'd live to see it end." "It hasn't ended yet," a younger man insisted. "All Might is still fighting. Heroes are still standing. We have to believe." The screen flickered, showing another hero agency falling, another team defeated, another symbol of hope extinguished. "Do we?" the elderly woman asked quietly. "Or is it finally time to accept that heroes are just people, and people can lose?" The question hung in the air, unanswered. At UA Academy, heroes continued arriving throughout the evening. Pro heroes who'd survived the Reverse Flash's initial assault, underground heroes who'd avoided the attacks by staying hidden, retired heroes who came out of retirement for one final battle. Teachers, support staff, anyone with combat-capable quirks. They gathered on the training grounds, a force of approximately 30 professional heroes plus the 20 students of Class 1A who'd refused to evacuate despite direct orders. Endeavor stood beside All Might, his flames burning low and controlled. "This is madness. We're walking into a slaughter." "Perhaps," All Might agreed. "But what alternative do we have? Run? Hide? Let him hunt us down individually? At least here, we have a chance." "We have no chance," Eraserhead said bluntly. "He's defeated 73 heroes in 6 hours. We're 31. The math doesn't favor us." "Then we change the math," Best Genist suggested. "We fight smarter, not harder. Coordinate our attacks, cover each other's weaknesses, force him to divide his attention." "He can already divide his attention across multiple timelines," Nezu pointed out. "He thinks faster than we do, perceives more than we can, knows our strategies before we execute them. Conventional tactics won't work." "Then we use unconventional tactics," Bakugo growled from where Class 1A had gathered. "We hit him with chaos, random attacks, unpredictable movements, make it impossible for him to predict us." "That's actually sound strategy," Nezu admitted. "Randomness is one of the few things time awareness can't fully counter. It's still a long shot, but it's something." All Might looked at the assembled heroes, experienced professionals and promising students, all ready to face impossible odds. His heart swelled with pride, even as it broke with the knowledge that many of them wouldn't survive this battle. "Whatever happens," he said, his voice carrying to everyone present, "thank you. Thank you for standing with me. For believing that Hero Society is worth fighting for having the courage to face someone who's proven himself unstoppable." "We're not doing this for Hero Society," Todoroki said quietly. "We're doing this for you, All Might. You inspired us, taught us, showed us what it means to be a hero. Now it's our turn to show you the same." The sentiment was echoed across the assembled group. These weren't heroes fighting to preserve an institution. They were people fighting for someone they respected, someone they loved, someone who'd given them hope when they needed it most. All Might felt tears threatening and forced them back. "Then let's make this count." The Reverse Flash appeared at UA's front gates at exactly midnight, his timing deliberate and theatrical. Lightning crackled around him in patterns that cast everything in yellow-red illumination. His 23 time remnants materialized beside him, creating an army of speedsters that surrounded the school. He walked forward slowly, savoring the moment. This was it. The culmination of centuries of planning across multiple timelines. The moment when he would finally destroy everything All Might represented. "All Might," he called out, his voice carrying across the training grounds. "I'm here. Come face what you created." The heroes emerged from UA's building, spreading across the training grounds in defensive formations. 31 heroes plus 20 students, 51 individuals ready to fight. Against 24 time-traveling speedsters. The Reverse Flash smiled. "You actually gathered everyone in one place. How convenient. Now I can defeat all of you simultaneously." "You're outnumbered," Endeavor shouted. "Even if you're fast, you can't fight this many opponents at once." "Can't I?" The Reverse Flash gestured, and his time remnants spread out, each one positioning themselves to engage multiple heroes. "I've fought armies across timelines you can't imagine. 51 opponents is a Tuesday for me." All Might stepped forward, his muscle form radiating power despite the exhaustion he felt. "Young Midoriya, please. This doesn't have to end in violence. We can still find another way." "My name," the Reverse Flash said coldly, "is no longer Izuku Midoriya. That boy died when you rejected him. I am the Reverse Flash. I am your greatest failure given form. And there is no other way. There's only the inevitable conclusion we've been building toward for years." He raised his hand, lightning intensifying around him. "To me, you've all been dead for years. Now reality catches up." Then he moved, and hell erupted across UA Academy. The Reverse Flash became a blur of yellow-red lightning, moving so fast he seemed to exist in 20 places simultaneously, even without his time remnants. He hit the hero lines like a time hurricane, each touch leaving unconscious heroes in his wake. The coordinated defense Nezu had planned lasted exactly 3.7 seconds before chaos consumed everything. A hero named Gunmetal, whose quirk created metal projectiles, tried to saturate the area with steel bullets. The Reverse Flash caught them out of the air with casual ease, his speed making the bullets seem frozen in space. He threw them back with velocities that shattered Gunmetal's armor, and the hero collapsed. Best Jeanist attempted to trap multiple speedsters using carbon fiber threads spread across the battlefield. The Reverse Flash and his remnants simply phased through them, appearing on the other side before Best Jeanist could react. One remnant touched the fiber manipulator's shoulder, accelerating his personal timeline forward until exhaustion claimed him. "You're thinking in 3 dimensions," the original Reverse Flash shouted over the chaos. "But I exist in 4. Time is just another direction I can move through. Your traps are already obsolete before you create them." Endeavor unleashed Prominence Burn, creating a massive explosion of blue flames that should have incinerated everything within a 100-meter radius. The temperature spiked to levels that melted concrete and boiled metal. The Reverse Flash stood at the center of the inferno, completely unharmed, his speedster aura protecting him from the temperature. "Heat is just molecular motion. I move faster than molecules. Your flames can't touch me." He accelerated past Endeavor, creating a sonic boom that extinguished the flames through sheer force of displaced air. The flame hero stumbled, and a time remnant appeared behind him, touching his shoulder. Endeavor's timeline fractured. Half of him existed 1 second ahead, the other half 1 second behind. The time discontinuity was agonizing. He roared in pain and collapsed. "Number 2 hero defeated," the Reverse Flash announced. "Who's next?" Hawks tried to attack from the air, his fierce wings allowing him exceptional aerial mobility. He launched feathers like projectiles, creating a barrage that should have overwhelmed even a speedster. The Reverse Flash ran up a destroyed building, defying gravity through sheer speed, and met Hawks in midair. He caught the winged hero mid-flight, their collision creating a shockwave that shattered windows. "Flight is just controlled falling," the Reverse Flash said, holding Hawks by the collar, "but I move faster than gravity. To me, falling is just another direction I can choose to ignore." He threw Hawks downward with enhanced strength. The winged hero hit the ground hard enough to crater the concrete. Mirko, the rabbit hero, tried to capitalize on the opening, her powerful legs launching her at the speedster with enough force to dent steel. The Reverse Flash caught her kick one-handed, completely stopping her momentum. "Impressive strength. Your leg muscles must generate enormous force. But force equals mass times acceleration, and my acceleration is infinite. Your strength is irrelevant." He spun, using Mirko's own momentum against her, and threw her into a group of heroes trying to coordinate an attack. They scattered like bowling pins. Ryukyu transformed into her dragon form, her massive size meant to overwhelm the speedster through sheer mass. The Reverse Flash ran circles around her at velocities that created a vortex, the dragon unable to track movements faster than her eyes could perceive. "Size is a disadvantage against speed," he explained, running up Ryukyu's leg across her back and down her neck faster than she could react. "More mass means more inertia. You can't change direction fast enough to catch me." He touched her snout, and her personal timeline slowed to a crawl. From her perspective, the world accelerated to impossible speeds, a blur of motion she couldn't comprehend. Her dragon form collapsed from disorientation. Gang Orca charged with his team of sidekicks, using coordinated water attacks and echolocation to try to track the speedster. The reverse flash created sonic booms that disrupted their echolocation, then phased through their water attacks. Echolocation uses sound waves, he said, appearing in the center of their formation. But I move faster than sound. Your tracking can't keep up with my speed. He touched each sidekick in rapid succession, tap, 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 and they fell like dominoes. Their personal timelines accelerated until exhaustion claimed them. Gang Orca made a desperate lunge, but the reverse flash simply wasn't there anymore. You're too slow, the speedster said from behind him. Everyone is too slow. A gentle push between Gang Orca's shoulders and the hero toppled forward, unconscious before he hit ground. Mountain Lady grew to her maximum size, trying to physically block the speedster's movement. The reverse flash ran between her legs, around her arms, across her shoulders, treating her giant form like an obstacle course. Size quirks are interesting, he mused, landing on her shoulder, but they sacrifice speed for mass. And in a battle between speed and size, speed wins every time. He vibrated his hand and touched her neck. Mountain Lady's size quirk destabilized as her time perception fragmented. She shrank rapidly and collapsed, her body unable to maintain the transformation. Kamui Woods tried to trap the speedster using his quirk's wood constructs, creating a forest of extending branches that should have limited movement. The reverse flash phased through every branch, appearing in front of Kamui Woods before the wood hero could react. Wood is organic matter, the speedster explained. Carbon-based molecules. I can vibrate through carbon. Your quirk creates obstacles I don't perceive as obstacles. He touched Kamui Woods' chest, and the hero's wooden constructs aged forward rapidly, becoming brittle and decaying. The forest collapsed, and Kamui Woods fell with it. Edgeshot attempted to strike from hiding, his quirk allowing him to fold his body into thread-thin shapes and attack from unexpected angles. But the reverse flash had time awareness. He perceived Edgeshot's attack seconds before it happened. Shapeshifting is creative, the speedster said, catching Edgeshot's thread form between two fingers. But predictable when you can see the future. I knew you would attack from that angle before you decided to. He vibrated his fingers, and Edgeshot's thread form destabilized. The ninja hero reformed involuntarily and collapsed, disoriented. Wash created massive water constructs, trying to drown the speedster or at least slow him down. The reverse flash ran across the water's surface, his speed preventing him from sinking, then vibrated his hand through the water. H2O split into hydrogen and oxygen again, he said pleasantly as the water constructs exploded into gas. You'd think after I demonstrated this ability earlier, heroes would stop trying water attacks. Wash stumbled backward, and a time remnant appeared behind him, touching his shoulder. The washing machine hero's timeline accelerated, and he powered down, unconscious. 13 tried to use their black hole quirk to trap the speedster, creating gravitational forces that should have been inescapable. The reverse flash vibrated at frequencies that let him exist outside normal spacetime, slipping through the gravitational field like it wasn't there. Black holes trap light through gravity, he explained. But I move faster than light, and I can exist in time states where gravity doesn't apply to me. Your quirk is impressive, but ultimately insufficient. He appeared beside 13, gently removing their helmet. I won't hurt you permanently, but you need to stay down. A touch to 13's arm, and the space hero's timeline fragmented. They collapsed, unable to maintain consciousness through the time distortion. Midnight tried to release her sleep-inducing gas, creating a cloud that should have knocked out anyone who breathed it. The reverse flash created a vortex that dispersed the gas before it could concentrate, then appeared in front of Midnight. Chemical warfare, he said. Creative. But chemicals require time to affect the nervous system, and I can accelerate my metabolism to process toxins before they take effect. Your quirk would work on normal opponents, but I'm not normal. He touched her forehead gently. Sleep now. This is over for you. Midnight's timeline accelerated forward 12 hours. Her body experienced exhaustion as if she'd been awake for days. She fell asleep immediately, her quirk deactivating. Present Mike unleashed his sonic attack at maximum volume, creating sound waves powerful enough to shatter reinforced concrete. The reverse flash moved out of the affected area before the sound could propagate, appearing behind the voice hero. Sound waves travel at approximately 343 meters per second, the speedster said into Present Mike's ear. I travel at 17,150 meters per second. Your attack is standing still from my perspective. He touched Present Mike's throat, and the voice hero's vocal cords aged forward rapidly, becoming strained and damaged. Present Mike tried to scream, but could only manage a whisper. He collapsed, clutching his throat. Snipe tried to shoot the speedster with his quirk-enhanced aim, his bullets guaranteed to hit their target. But guaranteed aim meant nothing when the target could move out of the way before the bullet arrived. The reverse flash dodged each shot casually, then appeared in front of Snipe. Impressive accuracy, he acknowledged. But accuracy requires the target to remain in one place long enough for the bullet to arrive. I don't. He bent Snipe's gun barrel with one hand, the metal warping from the pressure. Your quirk is useless now. A touch to Snipe's shoulder, and the sharpshooter hero's timeline fragmented. He fell unconscious. Ectoplasm created dozens of clones to overwhelm the speedster through numbers. The reverse flash created time remnants to match, and suddenly 70 speedsters fought across the battlefield, Ectoplasm's clones being systematically defeated by time duplicates. Numbers are meaningless, the original reverse flash said, appearing in front of the real Ectoplasm. I can create as many time remnants as you can create clones, and mine are all as fast as I am. Your strategy is flawed. He touched Ectoplasm's chest, and the clone-creating hero's timeline accelerated until exhaustion claimed him. The clones disappeared as their creator fell. Cementos tried to trap the speedster using massive concrete constructs, creating walls and barriers that should have limited movement. The reverse flash simply phased through them all, appearing on the other side unimpeded. Concrete is just calcium, silicon, and aggregate materials, the speedster explained. I can vibrate through all of it. Your constructs are obstacles to normal people, but I'm not normal. He touched Cementos's shoulder, and the concrete hero's timeline fragmented. The barriers collapsed as their creator lost consciousness. Powerloader attacked with his excavation equipment, trying to bury the speedster under tons of earth. The reverse flash ran across the falling dirt, his speed preventing him from being buried, then appeared behind Powerloader. Earth manipulation is interesting, he said. But Earth has mass, and mass has inertia. By the time your dirt falls, I'm already somewhere else. A touch to Powerloader's back, and the support hero's timeline accelerated forward. He collapsed from exhaustion. The pro heroes were falling. One by one, despite their experience, despite their coordination, despite their desperate determination, they couldn't match the reverse flash's overwhelming power. All Might watched in horror as his colleagues, people he'd worked with for decades, fell to the speedster's casual attacks. Each defeat was precise, surgical, designed to incapacitate without killing, but with absolute finality. This is my legacy, he whispered. All these heroes I inspired, and I'm watching them fall because of my mistake. Eraserhead grabbed his arm. Don't. This isn't about you. It's about him choosing to be a monster. Don't give him the satisfaction of blaming yourself. But All Might couldn't help it. Every fallen hero was another weight on his conscience, another reminder of what his rejection had created. The reverse flash stood amid a field of unconscious heroes, lightning crackling around him in triumphant patterns. 27 pro heroes defeated in less than 8 minutes. His time remnants continued fighting the students who'd tried to support the professionals. Do you see now, All Might? The speedster called out. Do you understand how pointless this is? These are your best heroes, your most experienced professionals, and they lasted less than 10 minutes against me. What makes you think you'll fare any better? Class 1A fought desperately against the time remnants, their training pushed to absolute limits. But even their combined strength wasn't enough against speedsters who could manipulate time itself. Todoroki created massive walls of ice and fire, trying to trap the remnants. They phased through everything, appearing beside him before he could react. A remnant touched his shoulder, and Todoroki's timeline fractured, his ice and fire quirks desynced, one existing seconds ahead of the other. He fell, unable to maintain the time discontinuity. Bakugo attacked with explosive fury, his blasts creating zones of superheated air that should have disrupted the speedster's movements. But the remnants simply moved around the explosions, appearing behind Bakugo before he could redirect his attacks. You're strong, a remnant told him, probably the strongest in your class, combat-wise, but strength means nothing when you can't land a hit. The remnant touched Bakugo's shoulder, and the explosive hero's timeline accelerated forward 20 seconds. From his perspective, he experienced exhaustion as if he'd been fighting for hours. He collapsed, rage-filled even in unconsciousness. Yaoyorozu tried to create containment foam designed specifically to trap speedsters. The remnant simply phased through it before it could harden, appearing beside her with disappointed expressions. Creative, one remnant acknowledged, using your quirk's versatility to create anti-speedster weapons. But creation takes time, and time is my domain. By the time you finish creating something, I've already countered it. The remnant touched her forehead, and Yaoyorozu's creation quirk temporarily fragmented, her mind unable to focus through the time distortion. She fainted. Ida used his Recipro boost to try to match the speedster's velocity. He reached speeds that would have impressed most heroes. But, to the Reverse Flash's remnants, he was still moving in slow motion. "You're fast," a remnant said, easily dodging Ida's attacks. "For a normal speedster, but you're using engines attached to your legs. I'm using time manipulation that affects my entire existence. We're not even in the same category of speed." The remnant caught Aida mid-charge, stopping his momentum completely. "Your brother would be proud of how far you've come, but this is where your journey ends today." A touch to Ida's chest, and his Recipro engines overloaded from time acceleration. He collapsed, his leg engines smoking from the strain. Uraraka tried to make the remnants weightless, hoping to disorient them by removing gravity, but the speedsters simply vibrated to create their own gravitational fields, ignoring her quirk's effect. "Gravity manipulation is interesting," a remnant said, "but gravity is just curved space-time, and I manipulate space-time directly. Your quirk affects the symptom. I control the cause." He touched her shoulder gently. "You're kind. I remember that from our time as classmates, but kindness doesn't win this fight." Uraraka's timeline accelerated forward, and she fell unconscious from exhaustion. Tokoyami unleashed Dark Shadow at maximum power, the sentient quirk becoming a massive force of destruction. The remnants dodged with ease, moving between Dark Shadow's attacks like they were standing still. "Sentient quirks are fascinating," a remnant said, "but even sentience requires time to think, to react, to process, and I move faster than thought itself." The remnant vibrated through Dark Shadow, appearing beside Tokoyami. "Your quirk is powerful, but power without speed is just potential that never realizes." A touch to Tokoyami's chest, and Dark Shadow destabilized, retreating into its host as time distortion overwhelmed them both. They collapsed together. Kirishima hardened to his maximum density, trying to tank the speedster's attacks through sheer durability. A remnant appeared beside him, hand vibrating at frequencies that disrupted molecular bonds. "Hardening is just increased density," the remnant explained. "But density is nothing compared to time phasing. I can exist between the spaces of your molecules. Your hardening can't protect against what passes through you." He vibrated his hand through Kirishima's hardened form, disrupting the internal structures that maintained the quirk. Kirishima unhardened involuntarily and collapsed unconscious. Kaminari tried to electrocute the remnants, unleashing his full voltage in a desperate attack. The speedsters simply vibrated at frequencies that grounded the electricity harmlessly into the earth. "Electricity is just electron flow," a remnant said. "And electrons move at approximately 2,200 kilometers per second. I move at 61,000 kilometers per second. Your electricity is standing still from my perspective." The remnant touched Kaminari's shoulder, and the electric hero's personal timeline fractured. His quirk short-circuited, and he entered his fried state, rendered harmless. Jiro tried to use her earphone jacks to detect the speedsters through vibration sensing, but the Reverse Flash's remnants created so many vibrations, thousands per second, that the sensory input overwhelmed her quirk. "Vibration sensing," a remnant acknowledged. "Clever. But I create vibrations with every movement. You're trying to hear a specific sound in the middle of a rock concert. It's impossible." He touched her forehead, and Jiro's auditory processing fragmented from time distortion. She collapsed, unable to maintain consciousness through the sensory chaos. Mina tried to use her acid to create zones the speedsters couldn't phase through, acidic barriers that would persist even against time manipulation. The remnants simply ran around the acid pools, their speed allowing them to avoid the hazard entirely. Creative use of terrain control? A remnant said, but terrain only matters if your opponent has to traverse it. I can just go around, or over, or through the space between your acid droplets. He appeared beside her, touching her shoulder. You tried your best, but your best isn't enough against what I've become. Mina's timeline accelerated and she fell unconscious from exhaustion. Sero tried to trap the remnants using his tape, creating sticky webs that should have slowed them down. The speedsters phased through the tape before it could adhere, appearing on the other side unimpeded. Adhesive traps, a remnant noted. Useful against normal opponents, but I can vibrate through molecular bonds. Your tape can't stick to something that exists in a phased state. The remnant touched Sero's shoulder, and the tape hero's timeline fragmented. He fell unconscious, his tape dispenser deactivating. Tsuyu tried to use her tongue to grab the remnants, her speed enhanced by her frog-like reflexes. But even enhanced reflexes were nothing compared to time manipulation. The speedsters dodged her attacks effortlessly. Amphibian physiology, a remnant observed. Interesting adaptation. But frogs are only fast relative to other animals. Compared to someone who moves faster than light, you're practically stationary. He touched her forehead gently. You're strategic, observant, and brave. But none of those qualities matter against absolute speed superiority. Tsuyu's timeline accelerated forward and she collapsed into unconsciousness. Aoyama tried to use his naval laser to create barriers of light the speedsters would have to navigate around. The remnants simply moved faster than the light itself, appearing on the other side before the laser could track them. Lasers travel at light speed, a remnant explained. I travel faster than light speed. Your attacks are too slow by definition. You literally cannot hit me with photons. The remnant appeared beside Aoyama, touching his shoulder. Your sparkle quirk is unique, but uniqueness doesn't guarantee victory. Aoyama's timeline fragmented and he collapsed, his laser deactivating. Ojiro tried to use his tail for close combat, the martial artist's skills honed through years of training. But training meant nothing when your opponent could perceive and react to attacks before they happened. Martial arts, a remnant said, easily dodging Ojiro's tail strikes. The discipline of using your body as a weapon, admirable, but it requires your opponent to be in a position where physical contact is possible, and I'm never where you think I am. The remnant touched Ojiro's chest, and the tail hero's timeline accelerated forward. He collapsed from exhaustion. Sato used his sugar rush to enhance his strength, trying to overpower the remnants through raw force. The speedsters simply avoided his attacks, moving around his enhanced strikes with contemptuous ease. Temporary strength enhancement, a remnant observed. Useful against opponents who stay in one place, but I don't stay anywhere long enough for your enhanced strength to matter. He appeared behind Sato, touching his back. Your quirk has a time limit. Let me accelerate you to that limit. Sato's timeline sped forward until his sugar rush ended naturally. He collapsed, weakened, and unconscious. Koda tried to use his animal communication to summon birds and insects to attack the speedsters. The remnants simply moved too fast for the animals to track, creating sonic booms that scattered the creatures harmlessly. Animal manipulation, a remnant said. Interesting strategy, but animals react on instinct and reflex, and I move faster than neurons can fire. Your controlled animals can't keep up with my speed. The remnant touched Koda's shoulder, and the animal communication hero's timeline fragmented. He collapsed, unable to maintain his quirk through the time distortion. Shoji tried to use his duplicated organs to attack from multiple angles simultaneously. The remnants simply moved between his attacks, appearing beside him before he could redirect his duplicated limbs. Multi-limb tactics, a remnant acknowledged. Attacking from several directions to overwhelm the target. But you can only attack from the directions your limbs can reach, and I can be in places your limbs can't reach. Behind you, above you, in the space between your atoms. The remnant touched Shoji's chest, and the multi-limbed hero's timeline accelerated forward. He collapsed from exhaustion. Hagakure tried to use her invisibility to attack unseen, but the Reverse Flash's time awareness allowed him to perceive her presence regardless of visibility. The remnants knew exactly where she was at all times. Invisibility, a remnant said, looking directly at where Hagakure stood despite her quirk. Useful against opponents who rely on sight. But I perceive time itself. I can see your time presence even when your physical form is invisible. You can't hide from someone who sees 4 dimensions. He reached out and touched her shoulder precisely. You tried to be clever, but clever tactics require the opponent to have limitations you can exploit. I don't have those limitations. Hagakure's timeline fragmented, and she became visible as she collapsed, unconscious. Class 1A lay defeated across the battlefield. 20 students who'd fought with everything they had, who'd coordinated their attacks, who'd used their quirks creatively. All of them overwhelmed by speedsters who existed outside normal time constraints. The time remnants converged back toward the original Reverse Flash, having completed their task. 51 heroes and students had stood against them. 51 had fallen. Except for 3. All Might stood in the center of the battlefield, his muscle form maintained through sheer willpower despite exhaustion. Beside him stood Eraserhead and Gran Torino, the only heroes who hadn't engaged yet, saving their strength for this moment. The Reverse Flash dismissed his time remnants, absorbing their time energy back into himself. He wanted to face these final 3 personally. Eraserhead, he said, looking at the underground hero. Your quirk is problematic. Quirk erasure could theoretically affect my time powers if you maintained eye contact long enough, so I'll deal with you first. He moved, appearing in front of Eraserhead faster than the hero could activate his quirk. But Gran Torino intercepted his own speed-based movement, allowing him to somewhat match the Reverse Flash's initial velocity. You're fast, Gran Torino acknowledged, blocking the speedster's attack. But you're not the first speedster I've fought. I trained All Might. I know how to counter speed-based opponents. The Reverse Flash smiled. You're thinking of normal speedsters, ones who move fast but still exist in the same time frame as you. I don't. To me, you're already defeated. You just haven't experienced it yet. He accelerated past Gran Torino's defense, appearing behind the elderly hero. But Eraserhead had activated his quirk, his eyes locked on the Reverse Flash. The speedster felt his time powers suppressed, not eliminated, but weakened significantly. He couldn't phase, couldn't create time remnants. His speed was reduced to merely supersonic rather than faster than light. Interesting, he said, genuinely impressed. Your erasure quirk is affecting my connection to the negative speed force. I can still move fast. My physical conditioning allows that, but my time manipulation is suppressed. He turned to face Eraserhead. But you have a weakness. You need to maintain eye contact. And you're still human. You still need to blink. The Reverse Flash created afterimages through pure speed, making it seem like 5 speedsters moved simultaneously even without time powers. Eraserhead tried to track which one was real, but the speed was too much. When Eraserhead blinked, an involuntary biological response lasting 0.1 seconds, the Reverse Flash's powers returned fully. He moved in that fraction of a second, appearing beside Eraserhead and touching his shoulder before the hero could reactivate his quirk. Your quirk is the most dangerous thing I've faced today, the speedster said honestly, but even you have limitations, and I exist to exploit limitations. Eraserhead's timeline fragmented and he collapsed, unable to maintain his erasure quirk through the time distortion. Gran Torino attacked with everything he had, unwrapped his speed, allowing him to somewhat keep pace with the Reverse Flash, but somewhat wasn't enough. The speedster was still faster, still more maneuverable, still able to perceive and counter Gran Torino's attacks before they connected. You're good, the Reverse Flash acknowledged, dodging Gran Torino's strikes. Probably the best speedster hero I've encountered. Your jetpack quirk gives you excellent mobility and unpredictable movement patterns, but you're still thinking 3-dimensionally. He phased through one of Gran Torino's attacks, appearing above the elderly hero. I think 4-dimensionally. I see where you are, where you were, and where you will be simultaneously. Your unpredictability is predictable to me. Gran Torino tried one final desperate attack, using his speed to create a sustained barrage, but the Reverse Flash caught him mid-movement, stopping the elderly hero's momentum completely. You trained All Might, the speedster said. That makes you indirectly responsible for what I became. If you'd trained him to be kinder, to be more accepting of those without quirks, None of this would have happened. He touched Gran Torino's chest, but you didn't, so here we are. Gran Torino's timeline accelerated forward 50 years. His body aged, his quirk failed, and he collapsed as an elderly man far past his prime, unconscious and harmless. Now only All Might remained. The symbol of peace and the reverse flash faced each other across a battlefield littered with unconscious heroes. Lightning crackled between them, yellow-red time energy versus the sheer force of heroic determination. "It's just us now," the reverse flash said, "just like it always should have been. The hero who rejected me versus the monster he created, the symbol of peace versus the embodiment of his greatest failure, the inevitable conclusion to a story that began 10 years ago on a rooftop." All Might's fists clenched. "I won't let you win. I can't. Too many people are counting on me." "Those people are all unconscious," the speedster pointed out. 51 heroes and students defeated. Your entire support network eliminated. You're alone, All Might. Just like you made me feel 10 years ago. "Then I'll fight alone." All Might launched forward, his speed impressive even by speedster standards, his fist rocketing toward the reverse flash with enough force to level a building. The speedster caught the punch one-handed, completely stopping All Might's momentum. Their clash created a shockwave that shattered what remained of UA's windows. "Now," the reverse flash said, lightning intensifying around him, "let me show you what I've become. Let me show you the consequences of your rejection. Let me show you what happens when you tell a child his dreams are impossible." He pulled All Might close, their faces centimeters apart. "I wanted to be you, but you didn't want me, so I became better than you." Then he moved, and the true battle began. All Might and the reverse flash became blurs of motion, their clash generating shockwaves that rippled across UA's training grounds. Every punch All Might threw carried enough force to demolish buildings. Every attack the reverse flash delivered moved faster than sound itself. They collided with thunderous impacts, each strike creating sonic booms that shattered concrete and twisted metal. The symbol of peace fought with everything he had, decades of experience, incredible strength, indomitable will, against a speedster who'd lived centuries across multiple timelines. All Might's fist connected with the reverse flash's jaw, the impact creating a crater in the ground beneath them. The speedster's head snapped back and then returned to position almost instantly, his accelerated healing already repairing the damage. "Good hit," the reverse flash acknowledged, wiping yellow blood from his lip. "You're stronger than I anticipated, but strength without speed is just wasted potential." He accelerated, appearing behind All Might and delivering a barrage of punches faster than the hero could perceive. Each impact landed with surgical precision. Ribs, kidneys, spine, pressure points. 50 punches in 1 second, each one calculated to cause maximum pain without lethal damage. All Might spun, his massive arm sweeping in an arc meant to catch the speedster. The reverse flash ducked under it, appearing beside the hero and touching his shoulder. All Might's timeline fragmented. His left arm existed 1 second ahead of his body. The time discontinuity was agonizing. He roared in pain but didn't fall. Instead, he grabbed the speedster with his right arm, pulling him close and headbutting him with enough force to crack both their skulls. The reverse flash staggered back, genuinely surprised. "You're fighting through time distortion. Impressive. Most people lose consciousness when I fragment their timeline, but you're pushing through the pain." "I've fought through worse," All Might growled, blood dripping from his forehead. "I've faced villains who tried to kill me, who hurt people I cared about, who threatened everything I stood for. You think time pain will stop me?" "No," the reverse flash admitted, "but it will slow you down, and slow is all I need." He moved again, becoming a yellow-red blur that circled All Might at impossible speeds. The hero tried to track him, throwing punches in every direction, creating shockwaves that devastated the surrounding area. But every attack hit empty air. The reverse flash appeared in front of All Might, his hand vibrating at frequencies that disrupted molecular bonds. He thrust his hand forward, aiming for the hero's chest, not to kill, but to stop his heart temporarily. All Might caught the vibrating hand between his palms, holding it in place through sheer strength. The vibrations traveled up his arms, causing muscle tremors and nerve disruption, but he didn't let go. "You want to know what separates heroes from villains?" All Might said through gritted teeth. "It's not power. It's not speed. It's the willingness to endure suffering to protect others. I will endure anything you do to me if it means stopping you. Noble, the Reverse Flash said, but ultimately futile. He created a time remnant behind All Might. The time duplicate grabbed the hero from behind, restricting his movement. All Might released the original's hand to deal with the remnant, and the Reverse Flash took advantage. His vibrating hand touched All Might's chest directly. The hero's heart stopped for exactly 2 seconds before his natural durability forced it to restart. But those 2 seconds were agonizing. All Might's body seizing, his strength failing momentarily. The time remnant released him, and All Might collapsed to one knee, gasping for breath. "Do you feel that?" the Reverse Flash asked, standing over the symbol of peace. "That's what hopelessness feels like. That's what I felt 10 years ago when you rejected me. That moment when your heart stops and you realize there's nothing you can do. That's what you inflicted on a child." All Might looked up, and despite the pain, despite the exhaustion, despite knowing he was outmatched, his eyes held determination. "I'm sorry," he said. "Truly, deeply sorry for what I did to you. But I won't let that mistake define you. I won't let you destroy everything because I failed you." He stood, his muscle form flickering, but maintained through sheer willpower. "You wanted to be a hero, then be one now. Stop this madness. Help me rebuild what you've torn down. Show the world that redemption is possible." For a moment, just a fraction of a second, something flickered in the Reverse Flash's eyes. Pain, longing, the ghost of the boy who'd once worshipped this man. Then it was gone, replaced by cold hatred. "Redemption?" He laughed bitterly. "You think I want redemption? I've lived centuries across timelines where I tried to redeem myself, where I tried to forgive you, where I tried to move past the pain. And you know what I learned? Redemption doesn't fix anything. It doesn't undo the damage. It doesn't heal the broken child I was." He accelerated, appearing in multiple locations simultaneously through pure speed. "So no, All Might, I don't want redemption. I want vindication. I want to prove that you were wrong, that a quirkless child could become powerful enough to defeat the symbol of peace himself." All Might attacked with renewed fury, his punches creating shockwaves that leveled what remained of UA's buildings. The Reverse Flash dodged and countered, their battle intensifying to levels that defied human comprehension. They fought across the training grounds through demolished structures over unconscious heroes. All Might's strength against the Reverse Flash's speed. Symbol versus monster. Hope versus hatred. All Might grabbed a massive piece of debris, the remains of a building wall, and threw it with enough force to create sonic booms. The Reverse Flash phased through it, appearing beside the hero and delivering a punch enhanced by time acceleration. The impact sent All Might flying backward, crashing through what remained of the school's main building. He emerged from the rubble, his body battered, but his resolve unbroken. "I've fought for decades," All Might said, his voice carrying across the battlefield. "I've saved millions of lives. I've inspired countless heroes. I've stood as a symbol of hope in humanity's darkest hours. Do you really think I'll fall to someone who embodies hatred? Embodies hatred?" The Reverse Flash repeated. "No, All Might. I embody the consequences of hatred, the consequences of rejection, the consequences of a society that values quirks over character. I'm what you created when you crushed a child's dreams." He moved faster, his attacks becoming more aggressive, more devastating. All Might blocked what he could, tanked what he couldn't avoid, and fought back with everything he had. Their exchange of blows created a localized storm. Wind from their movements, lightning from the speedster's time energy, shockwaves from their impacts. The battlefield became a hellscape of destruction and chaos. All Might landed a solid hit on the Reverse Flash's ribs, breaking several bones. The speedster didn't slow down. His healing factor repaired the damage in seconds. He countered with a barrage of vibrating punches that disrupted All Might's internal organs temporarily. Both fighters were pushing their limits. All Might's time limit approached. His muscle form couldn't be maintained much longer. The Reverse Flash's connection to the negative speed force was straining under the sustained output of time energy. "You're running out of time," the speedster observed, seeing All Might's form begin to flicker. "Your quirk has a limit, but mine doesn't. I can maintain this forever. You can't. Then I'll end this before my time runs out." All Might roared, gathering every ounce of strength he had left. He launched forward with his ultimate technique, a punch that combined his maximum strength with perfect technique, the attack that had defeated countless villains throughout his career. United States of Smash! The punch created a pressure wave that displaced atmosphere, creating a vacuum effect that pulled debris toward the impact point. The force was enough to level an entire city block. The Reverse Flash didn't dodge. Instead, he caught the punch with both hands, his speed allowing him to distribute the force across his entire body rather than taking it in one point. The impact created a shock wave that rippled across all of Tokyo. Windows shattered for kilometers, the ground cratered beneath them. The air itself seemed to scream from the force, but the Reverse Flash held firm, his feet planted, his stance unmoving. Lightning erupted around him as he channeled time energy to reinforce his physical form. Impressive, he said, straining against All Might's incredible strength. This is the punch that defeated All for One, the punch that saved Japan, the punch that made you the symbol of peace, and I'm stopping it with my bare hands. He pushed back, his speed allowing him to match All Might's strength through rapid, repeated applications of force. But your strength has limits, my speed doesn't. All Might's muscle form flickered dangerously. His time was running out. He tried to pull back for another attack, but the Reverse Flash didn't give him the chance. The speedster moved, appearing behind All Might and grabbing his arms. He vibrated at frequencies that disrupted the quirk energy, maintaining the muscle form. One for all, the Reverse Flash said. The quirk passed down through generations, the accumulation of stockpiled power. It makes you incredibly strong, but it requires energy to maintain. And I'm disrupting that energy. All Might's muscle form began collapsing faster than normal. He tried to break free, but the speedster's grip was unbreakable. Let me tell you something about One for All, the Reverse Flash continued. I've studied it across multiple timelines. I know its strengths and weaknesses. I know how it works, how it can be disrupted, how it can be defeated. And I know that right now, you're running on fumes. All Might's form deflated completely, revealing his true skeletal appearance. The symbol of peace became just Toshinori Yagi, a weakened man who'd given everything for heroism. The Reverse Flash released him, and All Might collapsed to his knees, gasping for breath, blood trickling from his mouth where internal damage had worsened. This is what I wanted, the speedster said, circling the fallen hero. Not your death, your defeat. Your absolute, undeniable defeat. I wanted you to experience what you made me feel, powerless, hopeless, broken. He knelt beside All Might, their faces level. I wanted to be you. I studied everything about you, memorized your battles, your rescues, your speeches. You were my inspiration, my hero, the person I wanted to become. Tears appeared in the speedster's eyes, genuine emotion breaking through the hatred. And when I finally met you, when I finally asked if I could be a hero without a quirk, you destroyed me. You didn't just say no, you said it was impossible. You told me to give up on my dream. You, the symbol of hope, took away a child's hope. All Might looked up, his own eyes filled with tears and regret. I know. I failed you. I've failed many people throughout my career, but you, I failed at the most critical moment, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix anything, the Reverse Flash screamed, lightning exploding around him. Sorry doesn't undo the years of pain. Sorry doesn't heal the broken child who contemplated ending it all because his hero said he was worthless. He grabbed All Might by the collar, pulling him close. I've waited centuries for this moment. I've manipulated timelines, changed history, created catastrophes, all to set up this exact scenario. You, defeated and broken, finally understanding what you created. All Might didn't resist. He'd given everything and come up short. His body was failing, his quirk exhausted, his strength gone. But he looked the Reverse Flash in the eyes and spoke with absolute sincerity. Then kill me. If my death will bring you peace, if it will end your suffering, then do it. I won't resist, I won't beg. I'll accept this as the consequence of my failure. The Reverse Flash's hand began vibrating, preparing to phase through All Might's chest. One thrust and the symbol of peace would die. But he hesitated. You want me to kill you? He said slowly. You think death will end this? No. Death is too quick, too merciful. I want you to live, All Might. I want you to live and watch what I do to your legacy. He stood, releasing All Might. I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to make you witness the fall of hero society. I'm going to show you what happens when your symbol dies while you're still alive. I'm going to destroy everything you built, and you'll be powerless to stop it. He looked around at the unconscious heroes scattered across the battlefield. These people trusted you, believed in you, followed your example, and because of me, because of what you created, they've all fallen. The Reverse Flash began walking toward UA's main building, the one structure still partially standing. I'm going to destroy this academy. I'm going to demolish the symbol of hero education, and you're going to watch. All Might tried to stand, but his body refused. He'd pushed too far, fought too hard, and his injuries were too severe. He could only watch as the Reverse Flash approached the building. No, All Might whispered. Please, not the school. These students, they're innocent. Were you thinking about innocence when you rejected me? The Reverse Flash called back. Was I not innocent? Was I not deserving of kindness and encouragement? He placed his hands on the building's foundation, vibrating at frequencies that disrupted the molecular bonds holding it together. The structure began to shake, cracks forming, support beams failing. I wanted to attend this school, the speedster said. I wanted to learn here, train here, become a hero here. But I was rejected before I even applied because I was quirkless. This building represents everything that was denied to me, and now it falls. He accelerated his vibrations, and the building began collapsing. All Might screamed, trying to move, to stop it, to do something, but he was helpless. UA Academy, the premier hero school, the symbol of hero education, the institution that had trained generations of heroes, crumbled. The building fell in on itself, creating a massive cloud of dust and debris. When the dust settled, only rubble remained. UA Academy was destroyed. The Reverse Flash stood amid the ruins, lightning crackling around him in triumphant patterns. He turned to face All Might, who was weeping openly now. Do you see what I've done? The speedster asked. 51 heroes defeated. UA Academy destroyed. Hero Society's infrastructure dismantled, the Hero Commission disbanded, and you, the symbol of peace, powerless to stop any of it. He walked back toward All Might, his footsteps echoing across the silent battlefield. This is what happens when you reject someone at their most vulnerable moment. This is what happens when you tell a child their dreams are impossible. This is what happens when heroes fail to be heroic. He stood over All Might, looking down at the broken man who'd once been his hero. I've achieved everything I set out to do. I've proven that Hero Society was built on a lie. I've shown that symbols can fall. I've demonstrated that rejection has consequences. All Might looked up at him, and despite everything, despite the defeat and the pain and the loss, he spoke with conviction. You're right. I failed you. Hero Society failed you. We perpetuated a system that valued genetic advantages over character and determination. We rejected those who needed help most, and for that, I'm truly sorry. The Reverse Flash frowned, not expecting this response. But, All Might continued, you've proven nothing except that hurt people hurt people. You haven't fixed the system. You haven't made anything better. You've just created more pain, more suffering, more broken people who will carry the scars of what you've done. So what? The speedster said coldly. They'll feel what I felt. They'll know the pain of losing something precious. They'll understand what rejection creates. No, All Might said firmly. They'll know that giving in to hatred only creates more hatred. They'll see that revenge doesn't heal wounds, it just spreads them. And hopefully they'll choose to be better than we were, better than I was to you, better than you've been to them. The Reverse Flash stared at him, something unreadable in his expression. Then he laughed, a broken, hollow sound. You still don't understand. This isn't about making things better. This is about proving a point. And that point is proven. Hero Society has fallen. I win. He turned away from All Might, looking out at Tokyo beyond UA's ruins. And now I establish a new order, one where quirks don't determine worth, where speed is the only law, where I decide who stands and who falls. Lightning consumed him, and he began walking toward the city, leaving All Might amid the rubble and unconscious heroes. To me, you've been dead for years, All Might, he called back. Now reality catches up. Your era is over. Mine begins. All Might could only watch as the Reverse Flash disappeared into Tokyo, the yellow-red lightning visible for miles, a new and terrifying symbol rising as the old one fell. 3 weeks had passed since the Battle of UA. 3 weeks since Hero Society's greatest defenders fell to a single time-traveling speedster. 3 weeks since the world changed forever. Tokyo existed in a state of controlled fear. The Reverse Flash patrolled the city at speeds that made him omnipresent, appearing wherever crime occurred, wherever violence erupted, wherever anyone challenged his new order. He didn't kill, but his justice was absolute and terrifying. Heroes who'd survived his initial assault remained in hiding or scattered across the country. Some had fled Japan entirely. Others had given up their licenses, unable to face the reality that they couldn't protect anyone from this threat. All Might recovered in a secure location, his body healing slowly, but his spirit broken. He'd watched recordings of the battle, seen himself defeated, seen UA destroyed, seen everything he'd built crumble. The guilt consumed him. Recovery Girl tended to the unconscious heroes who'd fought at UA, slowly bringing them back to awareness one by one. Each awoke to the harsh reality. They'd fought with everything they had and lost decisively. Bakugo woke up screaming, his pride shattered by the memory of being defeated so easily. Todoroki remained silent, processing the trauma. Yaoyorozu retreated into herself, her confidence destroyed. The students who'd fought the Reverse Flash's time remnants carried psychological scars that would take years to heal. They'd seen the limits of Hero Society, seen that sometimes courage and training weren't enough. The Hero Commission attempted to reorganize in secret, but their authority was gone. The government struggled to maintain order without heroes to support them. International heroes hesitated to enter Japan, having seen what happened to those who challenged the speedster. And above it all, the Reverse Flash watched. Izuku Midoriya stood atop Tokyo Tower again. The city spread below him like a conquered territory. Lightning crackled around him constantly now, a visible reminder of his power and presence. He'd become the symbol he'd always wanted to be, just not the type anyone expected. His time awareness showed him multiple possible futures. In some, heroes regrouped and tried another assault. In others, society adapted to his rule. In a few, international intervention occurred. But in all of them, one thing remained constant. He was the dominant force, the unstoppable power, the new symbol. 3 weeks, he said to himself, savoring the words. 3 weeks and I've accomplished what I spent centuries planning. Hero Society isn't just wounded, it's dead. UA is rubble, the Hero Commission is disbanded, and All Might is broken. He thought about the encounter, about standing over the symbol of peace and seeing genuine remorse in the fallen hero's eyes. Part of him, the part that was still that quirkless boy, wanted to accept the apology, to forgive, to move forward. But the larger part, the part that had lived through centuries of pain and obsession, knew forgiveness would accomplish nothing. The damage was done. The child he'd been was dead. All that remained was the Reverse Flash, the monster hero society created. I wanted to be you, All Might, he whispered to the wind. But you didn't want me, so I became better than you. Faster, stronger, more powerful. And I proved that your symbol was just a lie propped up by genetic lottery winnings. I showed the world that heroes can fall. Yellow-red lightning erupted around him as a crime occurred somewhere in the city, his time awareness alerting him to the disturbance. He moved, appearing at the location in less than a second. 2 men were attempting to rob a convenience store. They saw the lightning and froze, terror replacing their bravado. Crime, the Reverse Flash said pleasantly, is no longer tolerated in my city. I gave everyone 3 weeks to adjust to the new reality. That grace period has ended. He moved too fast for the criminals to perceive, touching each one's shoulder. Their timelines accelerated forward 48 hours. They experienced 2 days of exhaustion in an instant, collapsing unconscious. You'll wake in 48 hours, he told their unconscious forms. Consider it a warning. Next time I accelerate you forward a year. The time after that, a decade. Eventually, you'll age beyond the ability to commit crimes. Simple, effective, permanent. He vanished, appearing back on Tokyo Tower. This was his justice now, absolute, immediate, inescapable. No trials, no rehabilitation, just time punishment that ensured criminals couldn't repeat their actions. Citizens learned quickly. Crime rates plummeted, not because people were reformed, but because they were terrified. The yellow-red lightning could appear anywhere, anytime, and no one could escape it. It was the piece of fear, the order of oppression, the safety of tyranny. In an underground bunker, the surviving heroes held a meeting. All Might addressed them from a wheelchair, his body still recovering from the battle. "We failed," he said simply. "I failed. And now we're faced with an impossible situation. We can't defeat him in combat. We've proven that. So what do? We run," Hawk suggested. "Leave Japan, regroup elsewhere, let him have this country while we build resistance." "Abandon Japan?" Ryukyu protested. "Leave millions of civilians under his control? What choice do we have?" Hawks countered. "We can't protect them. Every hero who's tried to confront him has been defeated. We're powerless here." "Then we find a way to gain power," Endeavor said. "Study his abilities, develop countermeasures, create weapons specifically designed to fight speedsters." "With what resources?" Edshot asked. "The Hero Commission is disbanded. Government funding is gone. We're operating on scraps and desperation." The discussion continued, but All Might knew the truth. They were finished. Hero Society as they'd known it was dead. The Reverse Flash had won, and no amount of planning or preparation would change that. "He was right," All Might said quietly, interrupting the debate. Everything he said about Hero Society being flawed, about us valuing quirks over character, about rejecting those who needed help, it was all true. We perpetuated a broken system, and this is the consequence. The heroes fell silent, confronting that uncomfortable truth. "So what do? Mirko asked. "Accept defeat? Let him rule?" "No," All Might said firmly. "We adapt. We change. We build something better from the ashes of what fell. He destroyed Hero Society as it was. Maybe that needed to happen. Maybe we needed to fall so we could build something more just." "That's surrender," Bakugo snarled from where the students sat. "You're giving up." "No," All Might corrected. "I'm accepting that we can't fight him directly, but we can fight what he represents. We can show that heroism isn't about power or speed. It's about compassion, kindness, helping those who need it. The things I failed to show him 10 years ago." He looked at each hero, each student. He won the battle. He destroyed our institutions, but he hasn't won the war for humanity's soul. That's still being fought. And that's where we need to focus our efforts. It was a weak response, and everyone knew it. But it was all they had, the hope that somehow, someday, they could create a better society from the ruins of the old one. The Reverse Flash monitored their conversation through his time awareness, hearing every word across the time stream. He smiled. "Still plotting," he murmured. "Still believing you can change things. How adorable." He didn't fear their resistance, didn't worry about their plans, because he'd already won the only battle that mattered. He'd proven that heroes could fall, that symbols could be destroyed, that absolute power was more effective than noble ideals. Let them hope, he decided. Hope makes the eventual despair more delicious when they realize nothing they do matters. He looked out at Tokyo, at the city operating under his watchful gaze. Children played in parks, monitored by yellow lightning that ensured their safety through threat of immediate justice. Adults worked, knowing any crime would be met with time punishment. Society functioned, but without the heroes who'd once protected it. "This is what I've created," he said, pride and melancholy mixing in his voice. "A world where heroes are obsolete, where I am the only symbol that matters, where my rejection has become the foundation of a new order." He thought about the quirkless boy he'd been, about the dreams he'd held, about the hero he'd wanted to become. That person was dead, had died the moment All Might rejected him. What remained was something else entirely. "I wanted to be a hero," he whispered, "but you made me a god instead. Congratulations, All Might. You created exactly what you feared most, someone with absolute power and no reason to be merciful." Lightning consumed him, and he began his patrol of Tokyo, moving at speeds that made him effectively omnipresent within the city. This was his purpose now, maintaining order through fear, delivering justice through power, ruling through speed. The symbol of peace had fallen. The Reverse Flash had risen, and Hero Society would never be the same. In schools across Japan, teachers struggled to explain to children what had happened. The heroes they'd admired were gone. UA Academy, the dream school for aspiring heroes, was destroyed. The future they'd imagined didn't exist anymore. "Where did the heroes go?" a child asked. The teacher hesitated, unsure how to answer. Finally, she said, "They're resting. They fought very hard." Did they lose? Silence. Then yes, they lost. So the bad man won? The teacher looked out the window, saw yellow-red lightning flash across the city as the Reverse Flash maintained his patrol. Yes, the bad man won. Will he hurt us? I don't know. It was the most honest answer she could give. No one knew what the future held under the Reverse Flash's rule. They only knew that the past was dead, and the present belonged to someone who'd proven heroes were fallible. Months passed. Society adapted to its new reality. Heroes remained in hiding, unable to operate openly without challenging the Reverse Flash. The government maintained basic functions but had no real power. The Speedster was the true authority, enforcing his will through omnipresent surveillance. Crime rates fell to historic lows. Not because people were reformed, but because punishment was immediate and inescapable. The Reverse Flash appeared wherever crime occurred, delivering time justice that ensured recidivism was impossible. It was peace of a sort. Oppressive, fearful peace maintained through absolute power. Citizens were safe, but not free. Protected, but not hopeful. Alive, but not truly living. International heroes debated intervention, but no one wanted to face the Reverse Flash after seeing what happened to Japan's heroes. Countries closed their borders to Japanese refugees, fearing the Speedster might pursue them. Japan became isolated, a nation under time dictatorship, a warning to the world about what happened when hero societies failed their most vulnerable members. And through it all, the Reverse Flash watched, ruled, and remembered. Remembered the quirkless boy who'd wanted to be a hero. Remembered the rejection that changed everything. Remembered the centuries of pain that led to this moment. "This is my legacy," he said to himself, standing atop Tokyo Tower as the sun set over the city. "I wanted to be remembered as a hero. Instead, I'll be remembered as the monster who destroyed hero society. And you know what? All Might? I'm fine with that." He thought about the fallen symbol of peace, recovering somewhere in hiding, carrying the guilt of creating this situation. Part of him wanted to visit All Might, to show him what Japan had become, to make him witness the consequences more directly. But no. Letting All Might live with the knowledge was punishment enough. Better to let him suffer quietly, knowing that every day of the Reverse Flash's rule was another day of his failure. "I've controlled your life for so long, All Might," the Speedster whispered. "Now I'm ending your legacy. Your era is over. Mine has begun, and it will last forever because I exist outside time itself." Lightning erupted around him, and he vanished into the time stream, patrolling past and future simultaneously, ensuring his rule extended beyond the present moment. Morphresting erupted around him. 5 years later, children who'd grown up under the Reverse Flash's rule knew no other reality. To them, this was normal. Heroes were historical figures like samurai or knights, interesting but irrelevant. The yellow-red lightning was just part of life, a constant presence that ensured safety through fear. Some adapted well, accepting the new order. Others resisted quietly, keeping alive stories of what heroes once represented. But resistance was minimal. The Reverse Flash's power made organized opposition impossible. All Might eventually passed away from natural causes, his body never fully recovering from the battle at UA. His last words, spoken to the few heroes who remained, were simple: "I'm sorry for everything." The Reverse Flash attended the funeral, invisible through phasing, watching as the symbol of peace was laid to rest. He felt empty. The revenge he'd sought for centuries, the justice he'd delivered, the victory he'd achieved, none of it brought the satisfaction he'd expected. "You're dead," he whispered to All Might's grave. "I outlived you. I defeated you. I destroyed everything you built, and I feel nothing." That was the terrible truth he discovered. Revenge didn't heal wounds. Victory didn't fix the broken child inside him. Absolute power didn't make him happy. He was the most powerful being in this timeline, ruling an entire nation, capable of manipulating time itself, and he was completely, utterly alone. The boy who'd wanted friends, wanted to be a hero, wanted to belong. That boy was gone, replaced by a monster with nothing but power. "Is this what I wanted?" he asked himself, looking at his reflection in the polished gravestone. "Is this what I spent centuries working toward?" But he already knew the answer. This wasn't what he wanted. This was what his hatred had created when left to fester for centuries. This was the inevitable result of choosing revenge over healing, power over connection, victory over peace. Too late now, he said quietly. The choices are made, the timeline is set. I am what I am. The Reverse Flash, the conqueror of hero society, the symbol of what rejection creates. He left the funeral, returning to Tokyo Tower, to his lonely vigil over a city that feared him but would never love him. 10 years after the fall of hero society, Japan existed in a strange equilibrium. The Reverse Flash still ruled, still maintained order, still delivered immediate justice, but his presence had become routine, background noise in people's lives. Children born after the fall knew nothing of heroes. Teenagers who'd witnessed the battle had forgotten most of the details. Adults who'd lived through both eras adapted to survive. The Reverse Flash stood where he'd always stood, atop Tokyo Tower, watching the city below. He'd achieved everything he set out to do. Defeated hero society. Proven his power, established his rule, and he was miserable. I wanted to be you, All Might, he said to the ghost of the man he destroyed. I wanted to be a hero, to save people, to inspire hope. And instead, I became this, a tyrant, a monster, the thing I once would have fought against. He thought about the quirkless boy from 10 years ago, the innocent child with impossible dreams. What would that boy think of what he'd become? Would he be proud, horrified, disappointed? I'm sorry, the Reverse Flash whispered, tears streaming down his face. I'm sorry for what I became, for what I did, for choosing hatred over healing. I'm sorry, young Izuku. I'm sorry I couldn't protect your dreams. But apologies meant nothing. The damage was done. Hero society was dead. Japan lived in fear. And he was the monster responsible. This is my legacy, he said, looking at the city that would never truly be his. I destroyed the world I wanted to protect, defeated the hero I wanted to become, created a future worse than the past I hated. He stood there as the sun set, lightning crackling around him in patterns that had become as familiar as breathing. The Reverse Flash, the time-traveling speedster who'd conquered hero society, completely, utterly, terribly victorious. And absolutely, devastatingly alone. My goals are beyond your understanding, he said, repeating the words he'd spoken so many times. But now that I've achieved them, I finally understand something. He looked at his reflection in Tokyo Tower's windows, seeing the monster staring back. Victory isn't always triumph, power isn't always freedom, and revenge. He touched the glass, his hand vibrating unconsciously. Revenge is just pain wearing a different face. But it was too late for regrets, too late for redemption, too late for anything except maintaining the world he'd created. A world without heroes, without hope, without the dreams that once made a quirkless boy believe he could change the future. I am Speed, he declared to the empty air, to the ghost of All Might, to the boy he'd once been. I am inevitable. I am the Reverse Flash. He paused, lightning crackling brighter around him, and I am alone. The sun finished setting, darkness claiming Tokyo, and in that darkness, yellow-red lightning continued to pulse, a heartbeat of power and fear, of victory and loss, of everything the Reverse Flash had gained and everything he'd sacrificed to gain it. Hero society had fallen, the villain had won, and in winning, he'd lost everything that truly mattered. This was the new world, his world, a world where speed was law, power was justice, and the symbol of peace was nothing but a memory of what could have been if only someone had been kinder to a child who needed help. The Reverse Flash stood atop Tokyo Tower, master of all he surveyed, ruler of an entire nation, possessor of godlike powers. And he wept, because victory, he'd finally learned, was the loneliest thing in the world. The end, the end, the end. In a timeline where a quirkless boy was rejected by his hero, Izuku Midoriya became the Reverse Flash and destroyed the hero society that failed him. He defeated every hero who stood against him, including All Might himself. He proved that symbols could fall, that power could overcome hope, that revenge could shape reality. But in achieving his goals, he discovered that victory without peace is just another form of suffering, that power without connection is just another prison, that revenge without healing is just pain in a different form. Hero society fell not because it was weak, but because it failed those who needed help most. And the monster it created proved that failure has consequences beyond imagination. This is the story of how the greatest villain won. and in winning, lost everything that could have made victory meaningful. Remember, every rejection creates ripples. Every unkindness leaves scars. And sometimes those scars become powerful enough to change the world. The Reverse Flash's victory stands as a warning. Be kind to those who need it. Accept those who are different. Believe in dreams that seem impossible, because the alternative is a world ruled by fear, controlled by power, and devoid of the hope that makes life worth living. Hero Society is dead. Long live the Reverse Flash, and may we never create another.
Let's give a massive shout out to our amazing Patreon supporters who keep the channel going strong. For our Pro Hero tier, holding the line and leading the charge, Javon McQuire.
For our Symbol of Peace tier, the unstoppable heroes who carry the will of peace itself, Akuma no Akami, Chris Talley, Etha Voice, Alexander Thompson, Jaden Garrett, Remorsefuls, Blackvein, Greg Green, Justin Pontanal, Nicholas Barnes, Joshua Hedrington, Aaron Abercrombie, Drift SK Ater, Akemo Himejima, Corey Tokars, Jan, Zero Hope 3656, Devin Black, Rowdy Witch, King of the Pirates, Crow, Daniel Sharp, Roberto Ramos Di Cristina, Dasher Games, Joe Bros, Aiden Schmidt, Mason Edwards, Ravon Crimson River, Dante Alastar, Adam Yonkers, Blood Saints, Omar Cousin, Donna Cafe, Zeph, Hassassin 24, Howie 60, Ignacio, Albert, Carlos Terry, Rafael Terran, and Kevin Hall.
And for our Hope of the Universe tier, the ones whose power reaches beyond limits, Spin Town, James, Kwangyan Thompson, Big Fro Pro, Wom, I'm Calver, and Colsey. You guys are the reason these what-if worlds keep coming to life. Thank you for your insane support and for keeping the hero spirit alive. So that's what happens when a hero becomes the villain. When green lightning turns red and yellow. I've shown you a world where I chose a different path, where power corrupted everything I stood for. If you want to see more twisted tales, more heroes falling into darkness, then smash that subscribe button. Because in the multiverse of possibilities, anything can happen. Plus Ultra means going beyond, even beyond good itself.